Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It's April 2nd, Thursday. I'm your host, Jose Galison. This is the kitty of the day, Salmon. A little story there for those who care. My daughter actually named a bunch of these kitties. For those who are super nerdy into anime, my daughter's kind of into JJK. We both are. Jujutsu Kaisen. Pretty dope show for those who want to get into anime or into anime. And there's one character who has this weird power where if he speaks, things happen, but it's only certain words. So I don't know, it's confusing. He says essentially he's kind of like a Groot type character, and then he only speaks in certain phrases, and they happen to be sushi related. So rice, sushi, salmon, those sort of things. And that's how they have to talk, and then people interpret it by that. It's a little confusing, a little hard to explain why he talks like that. So, but that's why he has that name. I do want to let you guys know, I hope there's no audio gremlins going on right now. But yesterday it was, for those who care, who keep track of the kitty of the day, yesterday was Sushi, who was a fuzzy one. Now, this is your standard looking kitty, the one most people think of, although he's a little bit more orange than that. But I don't know, he's what people tend to think of when they think of Sphinx, the little almost skin type colors. But with that, guys, for those who like my hot takes, Monday through Friday around 11 a.m. Eastern when I make it on time, or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Sorry.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
All right, doesn't look like that's working. Am I coming over fine to you guys? That was weird. Looks like StreamYard's been having some glitches or something. I do not know why it's being like that. Is everything else good? Do I sound good? I don't know why it's doing this shit. I swear there are some internet feds or something. But yeah, sound off in the chat, guys. Let me know. Is there anything going? Am I lagging or anything? Because that was really weird. You guys were seeing what I was seeing too. You guys weren't seeing was the intro being goofy for you just now, right? It was being goofy for me. Someone sound off in the chat. Let me know. I would be really cool if we stop having all these technical difficulties right off the jump. At least I'm hearing I sound good. So is what, hey, say what now? So I'm assuming I'm coming over good, but the intro didn't work, right? So someone sound off. Did the intro give you guys issues, or was that just some weird issue on my side of things? It was not working. Okay, so it was working? Okay, well, it wasn't working on my end, so that's weird. Fuck it, let's try it one more time, because I like the intro.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Well, okay. I guess I'm hearing from the chat that it's working just fine. But just so you guys know, because it might have been a little bit confusing for you, because what I was just saying first go around. But yeah, it was on my end, I guess, for those who care. Yeah, it was not working at all. It was like glitching screens, but I guess you guys said it's working just fine. So that's bizarre. Okay, whatever. We'll work with it. But everyone else is saying everything else sounds great, so that's cool. Damn. Okay, sorry. It would be really cool if all these glitches would just stop. But hey, at least we don't have the audio gremlins. That felt like a little bit rougher, but whatever. All right, let's. Okay, sorry. I hope you guys are having a good morning. I'm getting together a little bit, starting to get back. Swing of things, a little more clear mind. Got a little bit more sleep, so doing a little bit better. Hope you guys are doing good. At least we're gonna get into being a little productive, learning some things, digging into some stuff. We've got, as always, we start off the show with our icebreaker content, some more fun, funny gen pop. Just keeping it goofy, not going to. I know I told you guys I do have like a sad one lined up one of these days. We won't do that yet. I think I'll save that for tomorrow. We're going to have Matt Wolfson joining us tomorrow, by the way. So I'll probably save that one for him, see what thoughts he has on it. And, then we'll get into the foreign policy stuff, what's going on in the war, and then we'll get into foreign domestic influence networks. That was a segment we were going to do yesterday, kind of going into, Mossad, CIA, kind of all these influencers, how they're kind of, how they're leaking into the different spheres, and how they interact with each other. A little bit of kayfabe, a little bit of truth to it. You never know which is which I guess is kind of the truth of kayfabe. And then we also have the Mises Institute Snubs Hoppe. That was a wild one that happened yesterday. So we'll get into the weeds on that, saving that towards the end. I guess burying the lead a little bit, but. I kind of want to keep it open to what degree of coverage I'm going to do, because it is whenever intellectuals fight, it's like, well, now I got to go read this piece, and now I got to go read that piece, and now I got to go read this piece. So there's a few different ways I might attack it, so we'll see how in depth we go into that. But as always, too, I do remind you guys, in between each segment, we will pop into the chat. We will say hello, say good morning. I do try to give everyone at least one good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest, or you got to catch my wallet. The super chats are available. You can do that on YouTube. You can do it in Rumble too, but it doesn't. For some reason, StreamYard doesn't integrate. I probably shouldn't tell you that because I'm not getting money over there. But oh well, Rumble, fix your shit. And I do remind you guys I timestamp it too. So I know a lot of people have concerns. They don't like it that I say hi to the chat. They don't like the chat banter. That's fine. You don't have to have anything to do with it. If you're watching live, go take a leak. If you're doing the playback, just go down to the timestamps and just click on the next timestamp. It'll bring you right on past it. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into our Gen Pops. And once again, audio. I'm coming over completely fine, right? It seems like all these technical gremlins are hitting me right now these days. I don't know why. But I am getting, at least on my end, it's coming over a little gravelly, a little weird. So, but whatever. I guess if you guys are saying it's good, that's what matters. It's being sometimes what you guys hear and what I hear are different. So, and that's the struggle. One of these days, we'll get the morning dump or the daily dump, whatever we end up settling on, to such a level that we have a producer that can deal with these sort of problems. So I'm not dealing with them on the fly. We'll upgrade Jacob to the VIP producer package. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get into some of the icebreaker stories, some of the stuff the fun, the funny, the Gen Pop. Let's start off with I don't know if you guys have been following this Artemis 2 thing. I guess we're going to the moon again. I think we talked about this already. I think they're like orbiting it or something. I don't think they're actually like. I guess that is going to, sort of. Is that going to? I don't really know if that's going to, because you're going around it, sort of going to, depending on how you define it. Like, you're not going on it, that's for sure. But supposedly, I think they're orbiting it. And I guess, according to Polymarket, which is in this weird world is an authoritative voice, the only toilet at Artemis 2 is currently malfunctioning. So that's cool. Seems like they're spicing up the story of Artemis 2, despite it. Let's be real. It's probably all AI. It's probably all bullshit. I actually saw a clip. I meant to save it and bring it for the show, but I totally forgot. But it was somebody actually got Michael Knowles. I guess he did a live stream or something on the launch or something. And they were trying to get him to go touch grass, so he literally had to go out and because it did kind of look like a CGI, not CGI, but like a green screen background. So he had to like go back, look. So this is where we're at. We're in a post-reality world. I don't think anyone's going to necessarily believe that one way or the other. If you don't want to believe in the moon landing and that sort of stuff, you think space is fake and gay, you'll never believe it. And I don't necessarily blame you in this current paradigm. Moving on, I thought this was kind of funny. Apparently, Elon Musk admitted he was on ketamine when he bought Twitter last Saturday. When was this written? This was... this is fabricated. Man, I hate these AI posts are great for these intros, but so many times don't take any of these a lot of these intro ones to be too truthful. These are just for fun, but just I guess a heads up, this is supposedly fabricated. No credible reports, but whatever. We're gonna read it anyways because I believe it. It says last Saturday, while backstage at the UFC, Musk confided Joe Rogan that he was in a ketamine session when he decided to spend the $44 billion to buy Twitter. You know what? I'm mad at these community notes. Now it's not as fun of a story now that I know it's fake. Because I always, like, these sort of stories, I always just kind of assume they're fake anyways. Like, these is why I say they're Gen Pop slop. I'm like, this is a sort of AI shit that shows up in your feed, but they're fun. They're they're an icebreaker. They're goofy. Does it really matter whether Elon's on ketamine? He probably was. I mean, all the rumors are, all the reports is he is blasted out of his mind on K all the time. And I feel like, I wish I could remember. We went down that rabbit hole before. There's definitely some truth to it. I just forget. I think he's talked about it maybe. I forget. I cover so much that I forget all of it. Or not all of it. I forget a lot of it. So that's one of those ones I've blanked. Moving on, screw you, community notes. That's no fun. I hope this one's true. I really hope this one's true. No community note. This one's cool. This is from Washington's Ghost. Good follow. It says, Ricky Wassenaar, who is already serving 16 life sentences for his role in a prison standoff in Arizona in 2004, is accused of taking the lives of 3 other inmates. Saul Alvarez, who was in for murder, Thorne Harnage, who was in for sexual conduct with a minor, and Donald Lashley, who was in for child molestation, all had their lives ended at the hands of Wassenaar. So that's cool. I don't know. I don't really know this Ricky Wassenaar. I don't know what all he did. I guess they said his role in a prison standoff. I'm curious what he did before that, though. Wait, no, never mind. He was already serving 16 life sentences. So I thought they were saying they gave him 16 life sentences for these 3 guys. I'd be like, that'd be insane. But he has 16 life sentences for his role in a prison standoff. I feel like he must have done something wild. That's pretty vague. But whatever. Not all of our heroes are perfect. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean he's a perfect man. He just did a perfect thing. He had a heroic. He may not be a heroic man, but he experienced an heroic moment, and for that, he's a hero. So yeah, I mean, I get a little bit of little ups here. Big ups, Ricky Wassenaar. Not sure about your past crimes, but your current crimes are cool as fuck. So keep it up, buddy. I hope he gets loose in every child predator wing. But with that, guys, let's get back into the chat. Say hello. Say good morning. Do all the things. Let's pop in. Let's check in on you guys. 1 second. Let me X out these. All right. Let's check in on the chat. We got Boomer Sooner in here. Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, OG Matzo Balls. Good morning, Nemo Liberty. Good morning. Hey, say what now? He said, adorable kitty. Thank you. Salmon Row, OG Matzo Balls. Yeah, he explained it better. I don't know why I couldn't think of it this way. He says he speaks in sushi ingredients so he doesn't kill people, is what OG Matzo Balls is. So yes, the what's his name? Is it like a Uzumaki or all the fucking the anime names kind of blend together. It's hard to keep track. I mean, it's usually like you can remember your MC, your main character, and after that, you're like maybe 1 or 2 more. But then after that, they all just sound like generic anime names. God, what is his name? I almost want to say like Emu or some sort of weird name like that. Anyways, the one guy, God, it's gonna bug me. It's like on the tip of my tongue, the name of the guy. But anyways, yeah, he has this cursed technique, power, or whatever, where he like speaks things into existence, but it's like certain words. So there's like, he says stop, and like there's like literally it's almost like a curse to make you stop. But because of that, he's like, he can't just say stop. Like, so there's certain innocuous terms he can say that do not have the effect of the power that he has. And so this makes it so that like he can carry on. So people would be like salmon, row, sushi, rice, and people will be like, oh yeah. It's just kind of like the whole I am Groot thing, where everyone kind of like rockets, like, oh yeah, I totally get what he said. It's the same. It's the same idea. It's the same shtick. The same trope you see in a lot of fiction. The one guy talks weirdly, but for some reason people understand him. So yeah, that's that guy. That's him. Someone in the chat. I know there's some nerds in here. Some people know who the hell I'm talking about. Good morning, user Chathead. Good morning. Good morning, King David. It says hit that like button. Also subscribe, please. Help Jose grow. Yes, please. I would appreciate that. Give me all your hype points. Good morning, Captain Caveman. Well, say went now reminding there was no lag, so that is embarrassing. I'm telling you, I was experiencing problems on my end, and you had no idea. So you just like, what is this dude's fucking problem? Well, now you know. Things aren't the same always on our end. I'm actually a little bit blown away by that. I don't think I've ever had that happen. In the past like few weeks, I've had some weird glitches that I've never experienced before, and that is one of them. I've never had where like something that I'm seeing on the screen doesn't comport to what you guys are seeing on the screen. Like if I've had I have, but it's actually usually the inverse. It's usually like I might see something perfectly like it goes off perfect for me, but sometimes it's like my internet's bad, and then the chat will be like, it's glitching, it's chopping up. But I've never had where it's like completely chopping up like that, but then you guys are like, no, it's perfect. That's not how that typically works. So that I'm thinking that's got to be StreamYard. That's weird. That or I've been tapped by the feds, because it is some weird shit. I'm kind of almost befuddled by some of the weird. I can't really do much about it. I feel like I'm being some amateur here, but like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about some weird ass fucking tech gremlin? But whatever. Sorry, I'm ranting. I'm kind of just irritated by that, to be honest. Pay all this money for this shit. It's all fuckered up. Good morning, Conrail. Good morning. Captain says anime would be a lot cooler if 90% of anime wasn't kids in high school. Yeah, that's true. I guess most of it is, but like, I mean, most of the time you just kind of forget and like, whatever. And it's not really that big of a deal. And usually they're like probably usually it's like if they are some kid, they're usually like 16, 17, 18, and you're like, within a few seasons, you're like, your main character's an adult. So, yeah, I guess it's a little weird that it's always younger, but it kind of makes sense given the target audience. And it's never, I guess I said never. I guess anime actually does typically have a trope of having like the one pervy character. But, I don't know, aside from, you block that one guy out and then like whatever. What difference does it make whether they're adults or whether they're, older teenagers I know it sounds creepy out of context, but we're talking about anime characters. And we're talking about whether it's like enjoyable to have them as like the main characters in a show. So nothing creepy there. It's only creepy if you make it that way. But I don't know. From my experience, there's more. I guess I've never gotten into the weirder, pervier ones, but I mostly been into stuff that I felt like I could watch my kids. So I don't know. It's never been that big of a deal to me. Good morning, Knife Safety Plus. Good morning, Gottis. Good morning, Ickenbaugh. That's a fun name. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Afares from the Netherlands. That's nice. Scott said he watched Apollo 11 live, 10 years young. You thought you saw Apollo 11. What you saw was a projection. Good morning, Emily Lawrence. Good morning. Believe nothing, question everything. Togi Inumaki is Toji or is it no? It's Toga Inumaki is what OG. That's the name of the character. There you go. Inumaki. That's what I was thinking of. Uzumaki, Unumaki. See, they all blend together. Good morning, Tower Gang NPC. Good morning. All right, guys. We popped in to the chat. We said some hellos. Let's get into some foreign policy. Last night, I told you guys there was going to be a big speech. I don't have a ton of commentary to give you guys for that, but it's kind of was the speech last night I told you about that Donald Trump was supposedly shutting down the major broadcast networks and taking over, doing some speech. It was like 20 minutes long or so. It wasn't too incredibly long. I watched it this morning. Which I was debating whether I even wanted to watch it at all because I knew exactly what it was going to be, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it's exactly what you guys probably think it was going to be. It was just a more dialed in, slightly more professional sounding version of Trump giving the same shtick he's been giving for a few weeks now. We're winning. Let me tell you why we had to do it. Let me tell you why it's so important. Tell me why it's not such a big deal with the oil thing. Everything's going to work out. We met all our objectives. We did everything we wanted to do. This is working just exactly how we planned. Like all of that stuff. Like they're destroyed. We're winning. It's not even like we're winning. Like we won. They're done. Like, so I don't know. I mean, we're in this weird standing position where like a lot of people keep seeing this stuff, myself including, going, is this a taco? Are we backing off? And you're like, I don't know. There's still, even within that, kind of allude to like, oh, we're just going to keep bombing the Stone Age until whatever. Because his reasoning is like, basically, the objective is to turn off their offensive capabilities in the sense of like, I don't know, like their Navy, their Air Force, but we're in this current situation where, yeah, you can kind of eliminate the majority of those things, and they still have a lot of their missiles. Those things are easily protected. Like, you can kind of wipe. You don't need a ton of people for that. It's pretty... So, I mean, they're kind of just chilling there. And we've not really made a difference except for make things worse. But let's see what Rubio had to say, give his take on it. Because I think... I know, it kind of gives a little bit of a summation, but obviously from the establishment perspective. So you get more of an idea of what was said. So Marco Rubio said, Trump delivered a powerful speech tonight. He was clear about our objectives in Iran. Destroy their weapons factories, destroy their Navy, destroy their Air Force, destroy their chances of ever having a nuclear weapon. So their reasoning is like, oh, we're bombing the Stone Age so they can't have nuclear weapons, which, as we've covered extensively in this show, that all they've ever done is rush Iran closer and closer to the desire and / or ability to have a nuclear weapon. So I know we're more likely than ever to have a nuclear Iran, and so it is bizarre. It is just insane to watch. Like I was watching watching the speech this morning, and I mean him doing the same shtick always about like, oh, if I hadn't destroyed the nuclear deal that Obama had, then we would be having. It's like, it's just this literally just inversion of like truth. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, I think he even alluded to that like every one of the survivors. It was a little bit kind of ambiguous. There was a possible interpretation of what he meant here, but it seems pretty likely in that speech too. He even said that every one of the service members who died's family said to them. So I guess you could interpret that as like one from each or whatever or something, or everyone that he saw to keep it up and or whatever. Where there's actually been reporting of a few of them, a pretty decent amount of them. We may have covered in this show, I'm not sure, of the family be like, no, like this is ridiculous. And I mean, I think obviously in like more professional sort of way, they weren't, but like they were very not happy about it, and like we should not be doing this, and definitely not the way that Trump framed it, which I thought that was particularly gross. And even within that speech, he alluded to he kind of gave a big thank. It comes off gross, especially me having the background of being military. I can't imagine if I got killed in something that I absolutely, especially since like the last like probably. Because you guys know I was active duty for like 11 years in the Air Force. I did a few reserves. And probably after like 5 years, I didn't believe in that shit whatsoever. And if any, like, I mean, there was like grades of like my perspective on it to where like, you're like, well, a watchman state is what we need. And you need to have a military. And like, well, I don't agree with what we're doing right now. You never know. And you find a way to the cognitive dissonance. But I just can't imagine, even at any of those stages, if it was like a conflict I especially disagreed with, and especially there at the end where I like just disagreed with it entirely. And if I got killed in if I got killed for Israel, and then they use that to then kind of, if anything, actually advance the war agenda, which is basically what he did, kind of standing on their graves, kind of using even their family members who have been reported to say otherwise as being like, oh, keep it up, finish the job. Like, that's crazy fucked up. That's like crazy fucked up. But yeah, you guys go check that out on your own if you want to. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if we have more commentary on it tomorrow. Although with the news cycle, who knows? Like I said, Matt Wolf's on tomorrow, so maybe we'll get some of his perspective on it. But moving on, apparently the Iran's president sent out a message to Americans, title being, "You are not our enemy." So we got the full text here. I guess we should read. Let's read it. Just make sure it wasn't too long. This is a president. Keep in mind, I know I do it too. I'm not. This isn't me condescending. It's because I'm retarded, and I almost kind of have to remind myself. A lot of these foreign countries, we think of presidents, we think of the leader, the head honcho. That's not how it works in a lot of countries. A lot of times they have this weird. Sometimes they'll be broken up. Like, okay, you take over civilian leadership, I take over global, or I don't know, military. Whatever. It differs from person to person, or from nation to nation. But like in Iran, they've got a president and they've got the Ayatollah, the supreme leader or whatever. So for example, like in Israel, they also have a president, and then they have was it Herzog still? I don't even know who the current president of Israel. I think it's is it Herzog, or am I forgetting? But and then you got obviously Netanyahu as the minister. But anyways, let's read this. This is from Masoud Pezeshkian, the Iranian president. So he says, in a rare move in escalating war, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has issued a direct message to the American people, bypassing governments and addressing public opinion. No, let's just read the letter. Sorry, I was accidentally reading the commentary from who is this from? Palestine Chronicle that's posting it. But let's just read what he has to say and get right to it. It says, in the name of God, the compassionate and the merciful, to the people of the United States of America and to all those who, amid a flood of distortions and manufactured narratives, continue to seek the truth and aspire to a better life. Iran, by this very name, character, and identity, is one of the oldest continuous civilizations in human history. Despite its historical and geographical advantages at various times, Iran has never, in its modern history, chosen the path of aggression, expansion, colonialism, or domination, even after enduring occupation, invasion, and sustained pressure from global powers. Despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated a war, yet has resolutely and bravely repelled those who have attacked it. The Iranian people harbor no enmity between other nations, including the people of America, Europe, or neighboring countries. Even in the face of repeated foreign interventions and pressures throughout their proud history, Iranians have consistently drawn a clear distinction between governments and the people they govern. Wow, that's a revolutionary thought for a person who governs a nation. This is a deeply rooted principle in Iranian culture and collective consciousness, not a temporary political stance. For this reason, portraying Iran as a threat is neither consistent with historical reality nor with present-day observable facts. Such a perception is the product of political and economic whims of the powerful. The need to manufacture an enemy in order to justify pressure, maintain military dominance, sustain the arms industry, and control strategic markets. In such an environment, if a threat does not exist, it is invented. Within the same framework, the United States has concentrated the largest number of its forces, bases, and military capabilities around Iran, a country that, at least since the founding of the United States, has never initiated a war. Recent American aggressions launched from these very bases have demonstrated how threatening such a military presence truly is. Naturally, no country confronted with such conditions would forego strengthening its defensive capabilities. What Iran has done and continues to do is a measured response grounded in legitimate self-defense and by no means an initiation of war or aggression. Relations between Iran and the United States were not originally hostile, and early interactions between the Iranian and American people were not marred with hostility or tension. The turning point, however, was the 1953 coup d'etat, an illegal American intervention aimed at preventing the nationalization of Iran's own resources. The coup that disrupted Iran's democratic processes, reinstated dictatorship, and sowed deep distrust among Iranians toward U.S. policies. This distrust deepened further with America's support for the Shah's regime, its backing of Saddam Hussein during the imposed war of the 1980s, the imposition of the longest and most comprehensive sanctions in modern history, and ultimately unprovoked military aggression twice in the midst of negotiations against Iran. Yet all these pressures have failed to weaken Iran. On the contrary, the country has grown stronger in many areas. Literacy rates have tripled from roughly 30% before the Islamic Revolution to over 90% today. Higher education has expanded dramatically. Significant advances have been achieved in modern technology. Healthcare services have improved, and infrastructure has developed at a pace and scale incomparable to the past. These are measurable, observable realities that stand independent of fabricated narratives. At the same time, the destructive and inhumane impact of sanctions, war, and aggression on the lives of the resilient Iranian people must not be underestimated. The continuation of military aggression and recent bombings profoundly affect people's lives, attitudes, and perspectives. This reflects a fundamental human truth. When war inflicts irreparable harm on lives, homes, cities, and futures, people will not remain indifferent towards those responsible. This raises a fundamental question. Exactly which of the American people's interests are truly being served by this war? Was there any objective threat from Iran to justify such behavior? Does the massacre of innocent children, the destruction of cancer treatment and pharmaceutical facilities, or boasting about bombing a country back to the Stone Ages serve any purpose other than further damaging the United States' global standing? Iran pursued negotiations, reached an agreement, and fulfilled all its commitments. The decision to withdraw from that agreement, escalate toward confrontation, and launch 2 acts of aggression in the midst of negotiations were destructive choices made by the U.S. government, choices that serve the delusions of a foreign aggressor. Attacking Iran's vital infrastructure, including energy and industrial facilities, directly targets the Iranian people. Beyond constituting a war crime, such actions carry consequences that extend far beyond Iran's borders. They generate instability, increase human and economic costs, and perpetuate cycles of tension, planting seeds of resentment that will endure for years. This is not a demonstration of strength. It is a sign of strategic bewilderment and an inability to achieve a sustainable solution. Is it not also the case that America has entered this aggression as a proxy for Israel, influenced and manipulated by that regime? Is it not true that Israel, by manufacturing an Iranian threat, seeks to divert global attention away from its crimes toward the Palestinians? Is it not evident that Israel now aims to fight Iran to the last American soldier and the last American taxpayer dollar, shifting the burden of its delusions onto Iran, the region, and the United States itself in pursuit of illegitimate interests? Is America first truly among the priorities of the U.S. government today? I invite you to look beyond the machinery of misinformation, an integral part of this aggression, and instead speak with those who have visited Iran. Observe the many accomplished Iranian immigrants educated in Iran who now teach and conduct research at the world's most prestigious universities or contribute to the most advanced technology firms in the West. Do these realities align with the distortions you are being told about Iran and its people? Today, the world stands at crossroads. Continuing along the path of confrontation is more costly and futile than ever before. The choice between confrontation and engagement is both real and consequential. Its outcome will shape the future for generations to come. Throughout its millennia of proud history, Iran has outlasted many aggressors. All that remains of them are tarnished names in history, while Iran endures resilient, dignified, and proud. Now I have some homework for you guys. Now go and watch, if you haven't already, the Trump speech, and now compare the two. I dare you. This is really actually very impressive and well done. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying it's like truthful in some of the things it says. I don't really know enough about the Iranian government, and obviously, all governments suck. I'm generally against them, but at the very least, even just a matter of just being an impressive people, there's a vast difference. It's very clear whoever wrote this is far more impressive than whoever wrote Trump's speech. So, anyways, moving on. Here's Trump. Let's check it and see what Trump has to say.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection.
I love it. It's been okay. I guess to tie us into previous episodes, this was particularly funny for obviously following up the Pezeshkian speech there, but then also I think it's been like almost daily the past few days that have come out and done the whole if Iran, a terrorist nation, if only they invested their money in this and not in terror or offensive capabilities or whatever. And then you have Trump literally saying the complete opposite, which, to be very clear, I don't want the government to do any of those fucking things whatsoever. I don't want the government to do childcare. I don't want the government to do Medicare. I don't want them to do welfare. I don't want them to do fucking anything. I want them not to exist. I want them to do. You want the government to? No. The answer is no. I mean, like, if it's something that I wouldn't be cool with any other person doing, no. Like, if it's like, do you want them to stop that person who just murdered someone or stop someone from murdering someone? Sure. But that's something I would say anyone should do. So I don't want the government to do any of that. Like, I do not want government to steal money and force people to pay other people for their fucking problems or whatever. But I will say, if you're giving me a binary here, or the very least, we can point out how ridiculous it looks to do the whole like, no, we're only doing We're back. That was weird. What the hell? Okay. Oops, I didn't realize I had my. Sorry, I got to turn. I have it up on my phone. Because guys, literally, I feel try not to be schizo about the computer feds. I mean, it was a little joke, but what the fuck? I'm telling you, the internet just shit out, and like it was. The weird thing too is it seemed like other tabs were working. Like if I went to other tabs on my browser, it seemed like they were working. And I went to other devices to see if they were working, and then just after fiddling with it for a while, and then I just turned it off and on. Just kind of the connection to the internet off on type thing real quick, and we were back. But once again, another unique glitch I've never experienced that I don't know how to accommodate for. So sorry. I will put in the timestamp a little bit of like, hey, we had a snafu right at this point in time. So what the fuck? Oh, all right. Sorry. I don't know where I cut off. How far into it where did I cut off? I mean, I'm assuming you got whatever. I guess the thing I think I cut off at was the coverage of. It was just teasing Trump because he said that line about how like, oh, we can't do daycare. That's we also can't do Medicare. We can do this. We got to do military. We're military protection. And kind of saying the inverse of the line that he clearly sent all of his people out to say, which is kind of funny. But anyways, I already exited out of that, so we'll have to. Damn, man, what the fuck? All right, let's jump right back into it. I guess we'll get into the positives. Hey, computer fed. I'm about to give Trump some ups here. So get off my ass, okay? Stop that. Please stop doing that. Schizophrenic in here. All right, let's get into it. The positives of war. Trump says he's strongly considering withdrawing from NATO. Trump said that NATO is a paper tiger and was considering pulling the U.S. out of the Cold War-era alliance. This week, multiple NATO states declared the U.S. could not use their airspace for attacks on Iran. Says, I was never swayed by NATO. I always knew they were a paper tiger, and Putin knows that too, by the way. Trump said in an interview with The Telegraph on Wednesday. He added that he was seriously considering leaving NATO. NATO was created after World War II to prevent the USSR. I don't need to give you all that. So, hell yeah. Looks like he's talking. I mean, we already covered that once, but he's still making more overtures to this. Now, is he going to do it? I don't know. This might just be a little bit of an attempt at a leverage move, signaling he's going to, hoping that they will scurry back to him. Although I don't know the brass tacks here. If we got down to the bottom dollar, what difference it would make for these people? But we got Trump threatens to cut arms sales to Ukraine if NATO does not aid war against Iran. So I think you kind of get where I'm getting at the leverage. So now he's starting to be like, well, I won't arm Ukraine. And you're like, so from my perspective, like, you're talking about leaving NATO and stopping arming Ukraine? Yeah. So, okay, a little bit of a silver lining here. That's cool. So we may end up in a situation where we get no Ukraine funding, no NATO, and the Iran war is done, but it is at the expense of probably sustained high gas prices for a while. Because let's be real, he's not going to do a full taco. Although I know he talked about like the full taco. Well, no, it's not taco. I guess it wouldn't be a taco. It'd be a full surrender, like in giving in to their demands, which. I was thinking about this morning, and I frankly, we probably should just do reparations and do all the things they say. But let's be real, they're not going to do the things they say. But like, if we could, I mean, the idea being is we would, essentially leave all of our, because one of their demands is that we leave pretty much all of our Middle East bases or a good deal of them. So if we left a bunch of those, shit-canned a bunch of military members, which I am 100% for. And kind of reduced asset costs like pretty much would pay for itself. I would assume I don't know, I haven't looked at the bottom dollar here, but there's a lot of money in the military. You compare that to the payment you have to do for all the people you murdered. I don't know. I mean, maybe the murder outweighs the welfare, but not entirely sure. The murder outweighs the murder welfare, but I don't know. Whatever. Hey, interesting times we're living in. So maybe there's a positive to come out of this in some abstract sense. some small silver lining. So we'll take what we can. We're also supposedly getting relaxations on the Hormuz Strait from Iran. So let's read this piece. It's written by Will Porter over at antiwar.com. It says the Iranian government has allowed a number of foreign vessels to transit the Strait of Hormuz in recent days, with some reports stating that a 1-month permit has been granted to certain ships. Once a conduit for much of the world's oil supply, the strait was effectively closed by Tehran in response to U.S. and Israeli attacks. At least 6 Bangladeshi cargo ships and 2 Chinese vessels have reportedly passed through the key waterway this week, while Turkey's Anadolu news agency noted that a 1-month permit was issued for certain vessels on Wednesday, though offered few details about the move. Traffic through the Strait of Hormuz is slowed to a trickle since Washington and Tel Aviv launched their war in Iran in late February. Though some 129 vessels transited the strait between each day between February 1st and 27th, daily averages have since dropped by 95%, according to the UN Conference on Trade and Development. Of nearly 300 commercial vessels that passed through the waterway between February 28th and March 31st, nearly half carried no cargo, Anadolu reported. Just 3 carried crude oil, while another 32 were transporting other petroleum products, and 20 carried liquefied petroleum gas. Around 1/5 of the global oil supply previously passed the Strait of Hormuz each year, making it one of the world's most important commercial waterways. The ongoing U.S.-Israeli war has rocked world oil markets, disrupting output and driving major price spikes. Yeah, like before all this stuff popped up, to put it in perspective, I don't think we were quite in under three territory where I'm at, but I think it was like within the year, I feel like we were either low 3s or maybe even dipped under 3 occasionally once or twice. And now, last time I went to the pump, it was 4.29. So that's wonderful. That's just great. I love that. Just extra money I gotta pay to kill people, for people I don't necessarily want to kill. But yeah, so it sounds like they're loosening up a little bit. So, with all of our attempts at leveraging the world to come and fight Iran, I think there's a good chance we may pressure them into making deals with Iran. So, and breaking off diplomatic connections with us as a result. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think it might be a positive development in that sense. Obviously, we're definitely going to be feeling the effects of this oil stuff for a while, especially our European friends. Also, I thought this was interesting. Apparently, most American Jews oppose war on Iran. I thought that was something interesting. It's 60% of American Jews oppose the war on Iran from a new J Street poll. So that is interesting that the Jews over here, and there was also another piece where it said apparently the majority of American Iranians are against it as well. So, because that's something that always gets thrown out, like say with Venezuela, that was a big thing. Like, oh, I see so many happy Venezuelans over there and over here. So kind of like the idea of like, oh, we have Venezuelans, in the U.S. and they love that we did whatever to Venezuela because they hated Venezuela and that's why they left them. So, I mean, so I think they've tried to tease that vibe a little bit with some of this Iran stuff. But that doesn't seem to be the truth, and even including to the Jews, which generally are sort of loosely connected to Israel. So, I mean, it's typically assumed they probably would agree. They seem to not. And we also got stuff going on in Lebanon still, of course. A greater Nakba this time around, and even the first one. But we killed 50 in the past 24 hours. So, yeah, more murder by our greatest ally. So, increasingly heavy fighting in the southwest and a growing number of Israeli airstrikes nationwide have caused the death toll in Lebanon to surge. At least 50 killed in the last 24 hours. Heavy fighting was reported in several areas along the southwest of the country, with the heaviest fighting reportedly along the coastal highway. Advancing Israeli troops have reportedly exchanged heavy fire with Hezbollah forces in the area. So Israeli airstrikes against the capital city of Beirut and surrounding towns killed at least 7, including reportedly a top Hezbollah commander. A drone strike in Mansour killed 2. Another airstrike against a home in Humin al-Tata killed a family of 4. So this puts the death toll at 1,318. So wonderful. The displaced in an estimated 1.1 million civilians, which I think the figure for the Nakba was something like 400 to 700,000 or something like that. So we're in the basically in the multiples range on the low end, almost double on the high end. So yeah, so imagine how this could play out decades from now. We're still feeling the effects from the first Nakba. Greater Israel is coming along swimmingly. And we got the Yemenis. Apparently, they're fighting back still against Israel. We talked about the other day how they joined. They entered the war. So they're still being feisty little fellows over there. So the Houthis are firing missiles in Israel's nothing new. This is written by Jason Ditz, by the way. But direct coordination with both Iran and Hezbollah, with their primary allies in this conflict, suggests deeper cooperation among the factions. The Houthis said the attack had successfully achieved its objectives. Israel reported sirens sounded in Sadarat, Ashkelon, Beersheba, and Dimona. Their interceptors were activated over a missile fired from Yemen, and later confirmed the missile was successfully intercepted. The coordination seemed to have been primarily the timing of the launch, as Iranian missiles were launched at Tel Aviv and Bnei Barak at the same time, wounding 14. And Lebanon's Hezbollah fired rockets to the northern city of Kiryat Shimona, announcing as the start of the Khaybar 2 Operation Defensive Lebanon. Houthis had previously targeted the resort city of Eilat with missile strikes, and there were missiles that hit that city, though Israel media has continued to maintain that all the missiles and drones fired by the Houthis were successfully intercepted, so it's not clear where the Eilat missile actually came from. But they've been lying like crazy in this war stuff. We between Israel's assets and our own, we have kind of a very murky idea of the actual damage. I have a strong feeling it's a lot greater than a lot of people think. And to be fair, probably not as bad as some of the crazy over-the-top people are thinking as well. So wonderful. We got the Yemenis continuing their shtick. Still haven't closed their waterway, though, so that's cool. Hopefully we keep that up. Although, I don't know. We'll see. Then over in Israel still, we got the death penalty law we talked about the other day has now led to a general strike in the West Bank. So getting a little bit of a backlash to this. It shut down most activity in the occupied West Bank on Wednesday in response to a new Israeli law which allows for executions of his Palestinian prisoners who were convicted of killing Israelis. The strike, announced a day prior to the Fatah movement, has resulted in shops, banks, schools, universities, and numerous other public and private institutions being shuttered. At the same time, thousands marched in Ramallah, the seat of the Palestinian Authority, to protest the law and Israeli policies, as well as express solidarity with detainees held in Israeli prisons. This was preceded by a rally in Manara Square by prisoner advocacy groups, including the Palestinian Prisoner Society, the Commission of Detainees Affairs, and Adamir Rights Group. So hopefully something comes of that. We'll see. I mean, it is a pretty crazy over the top law. We covered that yesterday, like I said, so I won't do that. Won't go through that with you guys now. But with that, let's roll the chat. Say some more good mornings. Please help a brother out. Hit the like button. Hell, even share it if you can, because I know that definitely fucked me over. Like so far as the reach. Having that 5 minute window where it went down. I'm sure we lost a shitload of people. So help a brother out. Fight back against the computer feds with me. And in the meantime, while you guys do all the likes, give me all your hypes. Give me all your shares, subscribes. Give me all your loosh. In the meantime, let's go through some chats. Say some hellos. And then we'll get into the first topic. It's going to have to be a little bit longer episode today just because the goddamn computer feds. But anyways, Knife Safety Plus says Unit A200 found the stream. Good morning, Johnny Shanksalock. I think this is the first time I've seen you in here today. Who else we got in here? I think it's the first I've seen you, PhD Nick Rivera. So schizomaxing is what we do best, though. It sure is. I was in the middle of anti-Semitism, says Hans Juger. Yeah, they got me. That's what it is. They said, turn off that internet. I hear anti-Semitism. All right, cool. Well, we're caught up on the chat. Like I said, help me out here. They really screwed me. The computer feds, they got me. They won this round. Probably cut the stream, the live in damn near half. But let's check out this trifling hoe, Alexis Wilkins, the girlfriend of our head of the FBI. So she's made some claims recently about foreign intervention, foreign linked influence networks, kind of roughly tying them into, funny enough, the ones that I would, it seems kind of roughly the node that I would consider the Teal network. It seems like what she's kind of getting at, which, if we're going to be even more specific, is the CIA network. So funny enough, it's actually kind of a little bit of an inversion here. I think it's the domestic linked influence network that she's actually talking about. Whereas she's actually, if I had to put money on it, part of the foreign linked influence network. So just a little bit of irony here. She's literally basically describing herself, I believe, in this thread we're about to go through. And that's not to take anything away from the people that she's describing, though. Like, you can just change out probably foreign to domestic in this thread, and it probably would be the same thing. I'm not much a fan of CIA, although I will give it to them in this go-around, in this dialectic they've created. At least they're kind of the cautious one. They've kind of become, I guess, the... if you look at it like liberals and conservatives, they've kind of become the conservatives, in the sense that like the CIA's foreign policy of like, whoa, we don't want to go like full war in Israel and completely butt-fuck the Middle East. We just want to like have a little bit of war, and that way we can have a lot of war with China later. So it's like it has that ratchet effect, essentially. So that if that's the mediating force is the CIA and their influencers, then yeah, it's and they're like, well, look at these guys. They're saying we shouldn't be doing all this in Iran. You're like, that's great, and I hope they keep saying that. But get your lips off their dick, because it's gonna blow at some point. That was a pretty good metaphor. Anyways, let's read what Alexis Wilkins has to say. It says, a foreign-linked influence network has been running coordinated operations against the Trump administration for 22 months. I know it's real because they ran one against me. I was targeted in something I knew was far from organic. This level of media is isolating, unwanted, and unwarranted. There was nobody to help, and nobody jump in and say, this is false OP, and help me. Well, I don't believe in problems without solutions, so I spent the past few months learning to build programs to utilize publicly available information to prove that this is way bigger than me. It's about creating chaos in the Republican Party. It's about the organized effort to lose Republicans the midterms and subvert President Trump's agenda, and I have the data for you to see. Now, we're going to go through this thread more, but I do also got to say I'm also picking up, I hadn't made this connection earlier, but I know there's a story we haven't covered in the show where I don't know the specifics of it, but I guess Hegseth's pushing some, what's the word I'm looking for? Not movement, some initiative or something. I forget exactly what they're doing, but essentially to fight back against misinformation or disinformation or foreign influence networks, or however they want to say it. But it really basically what they're saying is that they're getting like community noted on shit like Twitter, and they're like, what the fuck? The goddamn Iranians have got me again. So there's definitely parallels with that, it seems, because this seems like this could clearly kind of buffer or buffet their point, But anyways, getting back into it. In July 2025, I was falsely labeled a Mossad spy in a coordinated campaign designed to isolate an official of the U.S. government by using the person publicly nearest to him, me. Which, by the way, just to remind you, I actually think she's probably somewhat correct in being the falsely labeled a Mossad spy. If I had to put my money on, I don't think she is technically a Mossad spy. What I think is that she worked for a Israeli intelligence spy who was the CEO of PragerU, Marissa Straight, and I don't know, that connection kind of a little bit speaks for itself. Now, she does this weird game where she goes, I didn't work for them, I contributed. You're like, bitch, that's working for them, but whatever. So she was a contributor there over at PragerU. Marissa Straight was I think it was like Unit 8200, I believe, if I recall correctly. So even that, I don't think she was technically Mossad. She was just some other Israeli intelligence unit. So this is where you get the like, well, technically Alexis Wilkins is not a Mossad honeypot. She's probably an Israeli intelligence honeypot, maybe even one step removed, like being handled by the Israeli intelligence. So anyways, just kind of funny. I always have to point that out. Across the full operation, July's events and others dating back to 2024, 6 chapters, 22 months. The data shows 3.1 million retweet engagements. 80% of all activity was pure amplification. 659 accounts retweeted the same posts. Some retweeted 1 second apart. 15 pairs retweeted within 10 seconds of each other. When content spreads organically, timing is random. People check their feeds at different moments. They don't retweet the same post within seconds of strangers they've never met. 54 retweets in a single hour at peak. 863, 568 total retweet engagements in this chapter alone. That's not a conversation. That's a weapon. Now, first off, I'm going to head this off. We're only 2 in, and maybe we'll just bail at some point, because what she's going into is this whole like, well, if you look at this, and well, there's this many, and it's just kind of making the case for the being inorganic activity happening on Twitter. And I'm all for pointing that stuff out. But here's the deal. Pretty much everybody big is doing that. Like, I'm not. I can honestly say I'm not. Look at my numbers, and if I was, you'd be like, what the fuck? I think my numbers are okay, all things considered, but that's mine taking out artificial amping. It's never been my vibe. I don't know. I probably should. Honestly, I probably should, because this is that's the game. You create a false community. And in that way, you have a community, and then so from outward-facing people, you go, oh my God, there's a community, makes it more appealing, makes them want to go. So it becomes this thing where people have found ways to game the system to incorporate artificial to boost the organic. And I think there's something to that. Obviously, there's been a lot of people who have managed to make a career out of doing that. I know some people, I've mentioned them on the show, that have openly done this trick. And I've definitely had these discussions with people. I've never talked to anyone who would set this up for me. I don't know the specific how you go about doing it. I'm kind of a Luddite in that sense, but I've had discussions with other people, other influencers considering it, and being like, oh, so this is kind of ubiquitous, which makes it even more astounding when you see some of the larger people, act like, oh, do this shtick, and you're like, you're all like that. Now there's levels to it. You kind of got to find a way to. This is why we're in a vibes-based world right now, baby, and this is part of why, because everything's so artificial, everything's been so bugged by the fucking technocratic state that on both sides, and a lot of people even being like, well, I have a good message out here, and I want to fight back against yada yada yada. It may be completely wholesome, completely good, but I need to pay $300 a month to get this bot farm in India to amplify this and that spot. That way it increases my engagement here, and then it does this and it does that. So it's kind of a ubiquitous thing in this game. And if anything, I'm probably fucking up by not doing it. So, it feels, I'll be honest, it feels gross. It feels really gross. So that's part of why I'm like, but so this is just kind of on his face. Bitch, what are you talking about? And I would give it, maybe a lot of these people probably don't even know. Now, obviously, I can't say that for sure that everyone's, amplified like this. I'm sure some people are, organic. And there's probably levels to it. But even then, you got to think, if you're someone that you're getting to a point where you're doing 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. If you're doing probably over tens of thousands per stream or per, video or whatever, you probably have a guy. You got a guy who does your shit, does things for you, puts out your videos, clips this, clips that, does whatever. You got a dude. And that dude, and you may even have a team of dudes. And you know what? You may be a Luddite like me. If I ever blew up and got big, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some fucking nerd that was, doing some sort of bot farming here and this bot on that platform or that platform, doing this here, that there. It just is kind of part of the game. And once you get those nerds in there, they start doing nerd shit. And that is the nerd shit. So I'm also saying a lot of these people, too, to be fair to them, they may even just have zero idea. Be like, oh, I'm totally organic. And you're like, well, kind of, not really. So that's the game. A little dark secret behind the industry. Let's keep moving, though. It says the network has a trail. Catholics for Catholics list General Michael Flynn as current senior advisor on their own website. Flynn is the anchor of a digital infrastructure that's been repeatedly activated at every major Republican fracture point. Over 22 months of document data, same accounts appear at every chapter. This network does not rebuild between deployments. It stays ready. Just I don't... Okay, so she just references there's a guy named General Flynn. I don't feel like any of this proves anything out. Whatever. He's saying that he's been activated because he argues. I don't even really know. I've never really paid attention. What is Flynn's even problem? I don't really understand why he even gets brought up all the time. But he always seems to be at the center of some sort of spook conspiracy, which perhaps. Moving on, Chapter 1, May 2024, 10 days before the Butler assassination attempt, Ivan Reichlin, former Green Beret, former Defense Intelligence Agency, former member of Flynn's nonprofit America Future, post directly to Elon Musk and JD Vance. Jen Flynn would make Trump assassination proof. 166 retweets. All right, I don't think I can do this. This is so stupid. 14 tightly clustered time windows amplified within 1 second. Okay, I'll give her that. That's something. But once again, I think it probably just kind of goes to the territory. So I don't really know what you're showing here. Like, yeah, I mean, okay. Chapter 2, July 2025, coordinated narrative falsely identifies FBI director's girlfriend's Mossad honeypot. Origin post from a supplement influencer with 1.1 million followers built through the COVID medical freedom movement. Gets a labeled inorganic seeming uncommon 20 million views. This is the network's method, anonymous mass deployment and then credentials amplification. The connection runs in both directions. RT.com posted about me and slightly offensive amplified RT's content. When RIFTV posted, a military journalist based in Moscow hosted content on a Kremlin-adjacent Orthodox TV channel, amplified it back out. The same loop, the same network, running in both directions. Another thing, too, is also, like, even from this is bullshit, this. A lot of these people, too, like, are in group chats. Like, I'm in a... I don't think I'm revealing anything I shouldn't, but Jake Shields people made a group chat that I'm in. I don't ever really do anything in it. I keep it muted. Every now and then I poke in there, see what's going on. But a lot of these people are in these fucking group chats, and so what they'll do is they drop a thing. They go, "Hey, look at this," and then everyone will go, "Oh," and they just kind of. I mean, and that's actually kind of organic. That's mutual cooperation. Like, oh, I agree with that message. You boost it. And you just kind of have an inside lane to a lot of these other people. These people talk, the influencers, I mean, they go on other people's shows or podcasters or whatever, and they get to know these people, and they end up in group chats together. I mean, they don't become like best friends necessarily, but these people are connected. And so this is how this sort of stuff can happen. So, I mean, I don't find it really that crazy that, she's probably meaning... I don't know who the original post was, but I know Kyle Seraphin was one of the people who started this off, and I'd put money on it that he's probably in a few different group chats with a few other larger, people like that, and probably as soon as he dropped this, especially being like, oh shit, you're calling the FBI director to honeypot? Yeah, that's going to catch fire. Everyone's going to retweet it in the group chat, and from there, those large accounts retweeting it's going to boom, hit all these other accounts that kind of, a lot of people may even have alerts set up on their phone, so nothing about this is particularly all that crazy. I may just abandon this. This is kind of really pathetic, to be honest. I don't really know who can be fooled by this sort of stupid shit. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being snobby, or maybe it's because I've seen behind the curtain a little bit. And so I realized, like, oh yeah, these people are clearly, there's so many of these people that are artificial, and kind of everybody is somewhat artificial for the most part. Anybody who's anybody in this game. So, I don't know. Yeah, let's move on. I mean, you guys go check this out on your own. I think you guys got a taste of what this is. It's just going through all these different people and being like, oh look, they got a retweet and this many, and oh no, there are this many posts collected, this many unique accounts analyzed, this many high confidence bot accounts. And another thing, one more thing, as I'm looking at this, I remind things, even on the bot side of things too, this may sound ridiculous, but there's also this, how do I say this? With the bot thing. So a lot of people push this too of like, oh, look at all these bots, and this clearly did this and it is that. Maybe not. I mean, I don't have a full grip on the algorithm, but it's my understanding that low quality accounts is the way that Twitter used to explain this. And what that means is anybody with, I don't know, not a ton of accounts or whatever, like, not a ton of followers, like say somebody with 50 followers and they follow, 1,000 people. Like that's a pretty lopsided ratio, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. You might be somebody who's just not on here, you're just following people that you find interesting to get information. That's perfectly normal, but this is why I didn't really like it when they had this came up with this idea. But I think it was to fight. The reasoning was to fight bot accounts. It was the idea so that those people who are bot farming, it would actually work against them. So because these bots usually just kind of get mass created, They were going to have like 3 followers, be following like 12 people, like these sorts of accounts. And so you can, the algorithm sees that and they go, oh, they're getting these retweets, and they just kind of dampen the effect. They reduce the reach because they go, this is clearly botted. But with that becomes an opportunity to exploit to the inverse with the bot thing. So while she's going, oh my God, look at all this bots, look at this, look at that, look at this. Well, she could actually be showing that they are fighting the tide, that actually it should have been way more of a deluge against her than it was, because I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere between 500 to 1,000 of my followers are botted or are bots. And I didn't buy them. I didn't buy them at all. I think some other agencies somewhere bought them. And I know it sounds schizophrenic, but ask any person who's built any following, any influencer, especially someone who's been anti-establishment, and they will tell you there were periods of time where it'd just be waves. And it seemed to correspond when more contentious things were going on. I haven't noticed as much recently. I don't know if they've changed their game. But there was a period of time where that was big. So, or maybe they just got their bots in place, but it's almost like they have like a little bomb, whoever these actors are, ready to go at any time. If you ever step over the wrong trip mine, then, you get all these bot likes, you get this, you get that, and you go, what the... And then you realize like immediately nobody but bots liked it. You got like 4 bot likes, and you're like, this was a banger. Why didn't this take off? And that's why. So it is even not even as simple as she puts it. It may even literally be the inverse of what she's saying. And she's going, look how artificial all this is. And you're like, yeah, you're right. But in the opposite way you're saying. Like you actually, maybe this should have been way more devastating of a reputational attack against you. So anyway, yeah. So I guess a little bit of my insights, a little bit I have to offer. So these don't seem to correspond to it seems this is retarded schizophrenia right here. This is what this is, and it comes off as mega coping. And just a little reminder, with these foreign linked influence networks, we talked about yesterday about, what was it, Kristi Noem's husband who was a cross-dresser. So essentially she got hit with blackmail after she left the office. One thing I was just thinking about today is like, could that be a shot across the bow from like an Iran or something? Like, hey, look what we have. Who knows, maybe Israel, but I think it's worth pointing out too, Kash Patel recently got hacked. His personal email address hacked. So here's some pictures from, it's like kind of personal pictures. I haven't seen anything crazy. I've seen a few videos that kind of make him look like a fruitcake, but nothing over the top. Now, the one I did think was pretty funny is apparently they found his Xvideos account, which is like, so for those who aren't aware, that's a porn site. So it's not even like one of the ones that you would like, it would make sense to be like, oh, you bought a subscription or something to where if you were one of those people who would do that, which is like, I don't know, like, I know it sounds pervy to even say that, but like, you know what I mean? Like one of the night, like a Brazzers, if you were like, oh, I have a Brazzers account because I bought it, like, well, that's weird. You're buying porn, but whatever. Like, but no one, I don't think people really do. I mean, I guess you can probably do that with Xvideos, but like, it's a weird, it's like the only reason I really think why people would do that is so you could comment on videos. So he's literally, it is, I didn't even think about this till now. He's literally the stereotypical like Jeet that's like on porn fucking comments going, oh, SAR. I guess SAR wouldn't make sense in that situation, but Mahatma Gandhi. But yeah, just being pervs. So anytime you see pervy, if you're out there gooning and you just happen to peruse the comments, just remember that might be Kash Patel chilling in there. So, but anyways, I mean, with that though, I mean, while we're goofing, that's a vector for blackmail. I mean, that is blackmail. So, while obviously it kind of seems like everyone's pretty innocuous that's come out of this. It's more just goofy stuff. Like here's these funny photos, but this could be a warning. So just seems concerning. Seems a little concerning. And just remember too the clusterfuck that the FBI did on Butler. So let's check and see what Joe Kent had to say about this. And maybe you guys might start picking up what I'm getting at here with this foreign influence network. I'm being kind of vague, but I think especially once we get to the outro today, you'll be like, oh, it'll all connect. But let's see what Joe Kent has to say.
That to me was very surprising. Same thing with Butler. When we first started asking questions about Butler, I thought because especially that happened under the Biden administration, that, hey, we would come in and we would get the truth because, the previous administration really screwed this thing up. And there just wasn't curiosity there. there wasn't curiosity and there wasn't a tolerance whatsoever for us going after just the key questions of like, hey, did the informant that you had that was interacting with this guy, Shant, was he in communication with anybody in Butler? I mean, basic questions to ask. Again, this is nothing that's going to blow any investigator's socks off. Just those basic questions. Like, no, the two aren't related. Like, you can't talk about it. You can't ask any of those questions. Even when we found data that needed to be looked in. Yeah, I mean, they would say at the time, like, well, the Merchant case is ongoing, et cetera. Like, we can't interfere with it. That case is over. So, I mean, at this point,
I don't understand. I think this is like a new rule.
Yeah.
Which is to say a fake rule that you're not allowed to gather information about anything that might potentially intersect with an ongoing case that's not directly related. Like what that.
Okay. So no, it's maybe you guys might start picking up when I'm setting down. Now, for those who don't recall, Merchant was the this is the dubious Iran-linked assassination that many of the neocons love to go on about. We've covered that pretty well extensively on the show multiple times. We've had Ken on to talk about it at least once or twice, I think. And so that's the Merchant one. So in this clip, we got Joe Kent, apparently, which seems to have a pretty strong parallel between his the recent his comments on Kirk as well, and how they stopped the investigation there, looking into foreign links. And this would be basically the exact same thing. It sounds like he was looking into foreign links as well, and he kept getting poo-pooed as well. Oh, we have an active investigation, or we can't tell you if that informant had anything to do with that. So, I mean, I'm just saying, imagine. I mean, maybe, perhaps this is an Iran hit on Donald Trump, and then also, the Merchant had connection with Butler, perhaps, and so that's even more to the point of like, yeah, that was Iran. Or, I mean, but wouldn't you think though we would have that information though if that were the case? Or perhaps maybe they were, I don't know, concealing, I don't know, some other entity that may, I don't know, want to, intimidate the president, or perhaps for those who like to, go another way, perhaps, I don't know, make him look like the Moshiach, or kind of aggrandize him, kind of give him a platform to come in on this great big wave. I mean, I find that one a little bit less likely. I think the intimidation factor maybe more. I don't know. I'm torn on it. But either way, I mean, kind of, or maybe it was a whole big stage production. Who fucking knows? But it might make it easier if you had an entity that you had your fingerprints all over, you have blackmail all over. I don't know. I mean, the Epstein case comes to mind a little bit, just a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are picking up what I'm setting down. It could be either way. It could be Iran. It could be some other entity, perhaps. Just interesting. Just kind of on the subject of foreign influence networks. Well, continuing on the subject of foreign influence networks, apparently Trump pardoned a nursing home operator named Joseph Schwartz, who was convicted of a $39 million fraud scheme just 3 months into a 3-year prison term. Victims haven't been able to collect from Schwartz. And now for my audio listeners, when I say Schwartz, he looks exactly like what you think he looks like. And I'll leave it at that. I think he's an American, to be fair. So I guess not foreign linked, but I don't know. We can connect dots. But yeah, he got convicted of $39 million fraud scheme, and then just 3 months in, he got pardoned. And a lot of things people haven't realized with all these different pardon stories. A lot of time this corresponds with them not having to pay back. So there's been so many of these different fraud schemes that they get pardons, and then these people don't ever get paid back. So just essentially legalizing fraud. All you need is a president to be cool with it, which there has been an insane amount of that. Moving on, we missed this a while back. Apparently over in New York City, there was a extremist organization that attempted to blow up the home of Nurdin Kiswani. So what Zurron Momdani said is last night an alleged member, so last night on the 27th, so this is back on the 26th this has occurred, but he said last night an alleged member of the Jewish Defense League, designated by the FBI as a known violent extremist organization, attempted to blow up the home of Nurdin Kiswani in a chilling act of political violence and an apparent assassination plot. The defendant allegedly planned to flee to Israel following the attack. I guess Schwartz just wasn't able to get there in time, huh? Moving on, kind of in the same vein, we have this from Drop Site. It says this is back on the 26th. Says an Israeli citizen was arrested in Las Vegas after police found a cache of weapons, lab equipment, and more than 1,000 samples of unknown liquids at a home tied to a widening biosecurity investigation, the Los Angeles Times reports. Ori Solomon, 55, is accused of illegally possessing firearms and improperly disposing of hazardous waste. Authorities said officers and protective gear removed materials from the home, which were consistent with those found in a separate case in California. That investigation began when the foul smell led officials to a warehouse in Reedley, where they discovered a hidden lab containing thousands of biological samples, thousands of lab mice, and evidence of at least 20 infectious agents, including SARS, hepatitis, and dengue. Prosecutors say Chinese national Jai Baizu ran a scheme from there, importing COVID tests from China and selling them as American-made, and a congressional report flagged over 1.3 million unexplained payments from Chinese banks tied to the operation. Investigators found Zhu had listed a Las Vegas house as bail collateral and called it hundreds of times over the past year, making it a key lead that led police to raid the Sugar Springs Drive property, where Ori Solomon was identified as the manager. So we got an Israeli and China on this one. Continuing on down this dump on foreign influence, I thought this was a fun get. Let's watch this one.
You know that the years that you were doing King of Comedy and Once Upon a Time in America were perhaps the most dramatic years for him.
Yes.
In that respect.
Yes.
Did you notice anything back then?
I did ask him once. We spoke about something, and he told me that he was an Israeli and that he of course would do these things for his country. There's something with the things that trigger some nuclear thing. I remember at some point I had asked Arnold about that. Being friends, I was curious, but not in an accusatory way. I just wanted to know, and he said, "Yeah, I did. I'm Israeli. That's my country."
This got him into big trouble.
Yeah, and he gave me that answer, and I accepted it.
Almost.
Yeah.
All right, let's. What was that? What did I just show you? That was Robert De Niro right there, and Hollywood movie producer Arnon Milchan. He produced 2 Robert De Niro movies in the early 1980s. During this time, Milchan was illegally smuggling nuclear triggers out of the U.S. to Israel, and De Niro knew about it and kept it a secret. When interviewed about it in 2013, De Niro said, "He told me that he was an Israeli, and he of course would do these things for his country. There was something with these little things that trigger a nuclear thing. I was curious, not in an accusatory way. I just want to know." And he said, "Yes, I'm Israeli. That's my country." When the interviewer asked Milchan about it, he said, "I did it for my country, and I'm proud of it." Milchan's behavior shouldn't come as a surprise. As notorious Jewish spy Jonathan Pollard said, "Jews will always have dual loyalty." But when you see De Niro walking around pretending like he cares about our country, just remember his ridiculous words. There was something with these little things that trigger a nuclear thing. So while I am not someone with too tied up in the idea of patriotism in the typical sense that people use it, devotion to your government or whatever. But if we got an Israeli spy telling me that they're acquiring nuclear components, I'm probably going to have to go to the authorities on that one. I'm going to have to, as an anarchist and all. If anything, I'd be so schizo that I'm like, I'd almost feel like I need to so that I don't get in trouble, because I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with this fucking shit. I'm gonna blab immediately. Moving on, continuing on with this same vein of thought. Here's Ryan Grimm. Said CB News exclusively reported that a shadowy terrorist group linked to Iran had burned Jewish ambulances in the UK. The story made no sense on its face, but Barry Weiss went with it anyway. I think we covered this on Already Dead a while back. Now appears to be falling apart. UK has downgraded the charges from terror to just arson and won't release any information about the UK nationals they caught. If they were actually Iran-linked terrorists, they obviously would be behaving differently. We covered this in the show. There were these anti-Semitic attacks in the UK, and now they seem to be falling out of favor. Continuing on, and now to the domestic front with Palantir. So everyone's all worried about these foreign-linked influence networks. I'm more concerned about these ones. But apparently IRS just contacted Palantir to build an God, why am I struggling with that word? AI-driven audit selection tool. It's already in its pilot program and will use AI to rank high-value audit targets. The Trump administration has officially merged tax enforcement with the national security state. So now we have Palantir running algorithms for tax fraud. So I'm looking forward to my future audits. That's wonderful. In this period of time, as they crank down and completely destroy our economy further and further, they make more and more sure they get every last little drop of your hard-earned money that is not fucking theirs. And finishing off, still in the realm of domestic influence networks, we got some domestic Satanism. Apparently, man pleads guilty to participating in an online neo-Nazi group that exploited children into producing CSAM. So the guilty plea exposes the depravity of CVLT, a criminal enterprise that systematically targeted vulnerable children, coerced them into producing abuse material, and threatened to destroy their lives if they resisted, said Assistant Attorney General for National Security John A. Eisenberg. And you guys know full well, if you've been here for a while, we've covered plenty of 764, 09A, what are some of the other ones? Obviously CULT. I always forget what there's another one that's pretty common, but kind of similar sounding things, these online neo-Nazi, weird, child predator type groups, these accelerationists, as they can be called. Well, those we've talked on the show too about how they kind of have their starts in the feds. So now we've had a lot. I mean, it's a mixed bag. Like, it's kind of cool that we're actually getting them going after them. They seem to be pretty reactive. In the early FBI, it was pretty easy. Look at what we're doing. This became their feel-good story as they were completely, insanely dropping the ball on Epstein. They go, well, we're getting all these kids that are getting targeted by 764 and CVLT and I forget what the other one. I keep wanting to say that. It's right at the tip of my tongue. But anyways, and which is great. I'm glad they're stopping that, but it kind of loses a little bit of its luster when it looks like they're very much responsible for a lot of it. As Radix Verum points out, she says, to put this into perspective, the FBI was paying a longtime informant of theirs, Sutter, thousands of dollars to publish satanic, occult, neo-Nazi propaganda via Martinet Press that explicitly advocated for pedophilia, rape, child abuse, and ritual murder. Now they are taking credit for arresting individuals that are responsible for radicalizing. They are responsible for radicalizing. So they very much are very responsible for this movement, even going further back. Even if you go, I believe, before Sutter, if you go to the 09A days, I mean, it all kind of circles around PSYOPs, as they always seem to do. With that, guys, let's roll into the chat. We finish our foreign domestic portion of the show. Let's get into the chat, see what you guys got to say. And then we'll finish off. With the Mises Institute segment. So, what else we got? Nick Rivera says Cash App changed the name to GBI, Gooning Bureau of Investigation. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Saying hi for work. Northside says, Big Yahoo, please let us stream. We support Israel here. Israel, we love you. Leave my fucking shit alone. Good morning, Qbert. Good morning. Reminding us that Joe Kent is a faggot CIA op. You're probably right. I don't know about the dick sucking part, but the latter part, you're probably correct. Good morning, GitHub says my Schwartz is bigger than yours. Is it? And we'll have to check. Oh shit! And Qbert says 764 is the first three numbers of my shop phone landline, well after the area code. Oh, okay, I thought you were saying it was the first three numbers. Which area code? You got your state area code, and then you got the local area code, and then you got the 4 after. I'm trying to think of how. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I was just trying to think of how much is that? Oh wow, that's weird. Whatever. Interesting. All right, guys, let's roll into the last segment. I'm still really mad that that Computer Fed fucked me like they did. That was not cool. I'm still pretty pissed about that, but. Whatever. We would have had way more people in here, way more bump and chat, but whatever. All right, let's get into some Hoppe stuff. Let's get into it. So here we go. Here is this account. What's it? PFS. The Property and Freedom Society shared this as Hoppe removed as Mises Institute Senior Distinguished Fellow. So. Wild. Which I believe the Mises Institute was like created by Lou Rockwell and Rothbard, I believe, kind of created together. So it's like, obviously it's in honor of Mises, but it's also to some degree, to a large degree, also somewhat in honor of Rothbard, since he's the one who kind of essentially created it, I believe, if I'm recalling the history, which we'll probably get a little bit into. But it looks like things have shifted over there. We're going to get into now a little bit of kind of what the fuck happened there. It looks like Hans came out, dropped a bunch of receipts, and Mises Institute wasn't too happy about it, and they removed him as a distinguished fellow. So let's read this piece. Stefan Consillo wrote a small little blurb on this to explain the situation. He says, this is April 1st. This happened yesterday, but this is not an April 1st, a Fool's Day joke. He says, I despise April Fool's Day jokes. So if anyone knows Kinsella, that totally tracks. This is a response to Mises Institute Quo Vadis, Property and Freedom Journal. Professor Hoppe has been removed as Distinguished Senior Fellow, which he was from 2000 to 2026, with the Ludwig von Mises Institute, as indicated in the following email exchange. Hans was appointed Senior Fellow early in his association with the Mises Institute, which began when he moved to the U.S. to study with Rothbard in 1985 and elevated to Distinguished Senior Fellow around 2000 or so. Hans remains the only person to have ever received this distinction from the Mises Institute. It now has no one with this distinction. Kind of a big... So he literally was the only Distinguished Senior Fellow. So, interesting. In response to all this, Hans asked me to post this image. So this was Hoppe's image to this happening. It was just a picture of Mises giving a thumbs up, kind of like, okay, cool, dude, whatever. That was pretty fun. I saw some people do a take on this with the middle finger Mises that went pretty hard. But yeah, that's as Kinsella put it. That's what went on. Here is Ryan Griggs, an account that I found online, who I guess has a little bit of insight. So I figured we'd get his before we took on the gargantuan task. Well, not gargantuan, it's not too big, but of reading the piece that started this all off. Now, I will warn you, it is a little bit like kind of, like I said, it's dropping receipts. It's a little bit kind of talking tea, as the kiddos say. It's kind of getting into the weeds of he said, she said, with a little bit of libertarian flair to it. So for those who want it, fair warning, we will be going in the weeds of that here in a second. But here's Ryan Griggs giving his take. He says, all of this has been very sensational. I've got a unique background on both sides. As it happened, I interned at Mises in summer of 2013 under the direct supervision of Dan Sanchez. I attended the PFS conference that year as well. So pushing 13 years ago, I had opportunities to interact with both Professor Salerno and Hoppe. Those did not go especially well. I will take the blame for that. I was a younger, wilder person back then for sure. But it's beside the point. My MA thesis was on the dehomogenization debate that Salerno and Rothbard prompted in the early 90s and 80s. Bob Murphy is my eminently patient dissertation advisor now, which, by the way, anytime I see Bob Murphy, I got to remind him, Bob, you out there? Why the fuck you have me blocked? Bob, unblock me. I've done a live reading series. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. Bob. I love you, Bob. I'm just kidding. I don't know you that well. But I do like your work. I've read Chaos Theory. I've kind of followed some of your other work. I feel like I might have done an audiobook or something. I don't know. I've definitely read Chaos Theory. Did a whole fucking live reading series on that. So, a little weird. Just unblock me, Bob. I don't know why you blocked. We used to have like weird little, the occasional kind of interactions. Just kind of goofy, whatever. Anyways, sorry. Other Mises work, Bob Murphy is my eminently patient dissertation advisor now. Other Mises scholar work is awesome. The judgment-based approach to entrepreneurship under Peter G. Klein and Nikolai Foss seems to be exploding as far as I can tell. Per Byland is on a tear. There's lots of great stuff there. On the other hand, back in 2013, I'd read everything Hoppe ever wrote in English. I found it so compelling. But back to Bob Murphy. Bob. I bet you, if I had to guess, I bet you it was back in my Tower Gang days, and I like retweeted like a Laney edit or something. And I will admit, some of those are crazy debaucherous, like crazy over the top, like not okay for polite society. And I get it. Well, you wouldn't want that in your feed, and perhaps someone else retweeted it and somehow ended in your feed, and you're like, how did this end in my feed? Or like it was a quote tweet of mine, and you go, fuck this guy, and you block him. You didn't know. Well, you blocked a fan. And I'm not even on Tower anymore. I don't really degenerate posts like that anymore. So just saying, Bob, if you're out there, if you hear me, unfucking block me. Not that it really matters. Not that I'm planning to even do that much on Twitter, but it cuts me just a little bit. There's really such a rich intellectual tradition here that extends across any divides that may be or have already been forming here. As I've since learned both in academia and in businesses, behind the current state of affairs are often traces of lingering conflicts that don't necessarily have to do with the substance of the work itself. It's not to say that the grounds for disputes or conflicts are necessarily invalid. There may be a legitimate cause there. Maybe there should be this or that change in organizational structure, role designation. Maybe not. My point is that is beside the point. There's continuity here, and that great achievement on both sides, I think, will continue to endure. And is also a great and fertile basis for further theoretical development. Other than that, I hope everyone comes to the right decisions for themselves, whatever that might look like. In the meantime, though, maybe there needs to be a bit of a vanguard here that keeps its eye on the scientific work and recognizes a continuity that extends across other sorts of boundaries. For instance, I will take hardline Salerno or Hoppe over the East Coast Beltway epistemic mainline version of economics any day. So kind of a little bit of a from this guy, well, why can't all sides get along? And I mean, I'll be honest, we're about to go in the weeds, so I may have a stronger opinion. I've only kind of skimmed this piece before the piece we're about to cover. I've only skimmed it a little bit earlier. But I do got to admit, like, off the jump, I'll be honest, I'm kind of instinctually like with Hoppe here, like, what the fuck is this? I mean, I have vague idea. I think he kind of, as we're about to, I think he addresses some of the weird structuring stuff. But even if it's like, I don't know, even if he said something crazy in this article we're about to read, I don't really understand the reaction. We're going to remove him as a senior fellow because he said some things we don't like about the Mises Institute. I feel like maybe it would have been more appropriate just to address them and be like, or this or that, instead of, if anything, this makes it look like whatever he's about to say probably has all the more merit to it. But I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind after we read this piece. I am saddened by this because these are both, I think Hoppe is one of the greatest political philosophers of our time, especially living. And Mises Institute has actually kind of been like the going to, like, whenever people, especially me as like an agorist, and people be like, oh, well, politics and yada yada, or this and that, and like, well, I'd be like, well, community's great. You create community around things like the Mises Institute, and if you feel like you need to donate to causes, donate to that. Like, I've always kind of pointed to like things like that. Like, if you actually want to help this, these are the way to help it. Help with these sorts of institutes that advance education in these sorts of things. That way we can take people who are out there living and kind of convert their mind to think more this way. And this is kind of, I think, to some degree how these things work. You infiltrate the intellectual side of things with something that you try to position in such a way that it won't be poisoned by the state, which Mises Institute went to great pains. I believe they're like Alabama or something, because they didn't want to be one of those places in D.C., but I mean, I don't know, perhaps, I mean, I believe there's some implications, perhaps this may have something to do with some of their Malay, how do I put this? Maybe some people's favorability for Malay, which if that were the case, then this would be kind of like, another example of the state poisoning things. So it'd be almost kind of funny in that it'd be like Malay kind of in a weird way becomes the libertarian Trump, in that kind of the Felford again type thing, up to and including possibly fucking the Mises Institute. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't know. This seems very weird to me. Actually, real quick, 1 second. I just remember there's something I bookmarked earlier that I wanted to bring up in presentation with this too, because I think this might play into something about the structure and how these sort of things happen. 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Here is a letter put out by Judy Thomason and Chad Parrish, who are apparently the executive directors of the Mises Institute. So this becomes kind of key to what's going on here, because I guess the original piece that we're getting ready to read had a lot to do with like the structure of the Mises Institute and how it's leaving it open for problems. Because it was Lou Rockwell that was running the place, and Lou Rockwell's getting up in age, and this has got to get passed off at some point, and so how this entity is being managed is important. So I don't know who Judy Thomason and Chad Parrish are, but it sounds like they might have been people who made the decision here. So here it says, Dear Mr. Dr. Hoppe, given the nature of your recent public statements about the Mises Institute, we are revoking your distinguished senior fellow designation. We will continue to host your past articles, books, and lectures on Mises.org. Sincerely, Judy Thomason and Chad Parrish, executive directors of the Mises Institute. So it sounds like they are the ones who did it, which is even more like, who the fuck are these people? I don't mean it to be insulting. I've never heard their names. I mean, a lot of I've heard of Salerno. I know Ryan Macon is over at Mises. You got, who's the ginger? I can't remember. Connor Freeman. I mean, that's not Connor Freeman. I mix up names. Why am I mixing up names? They have a similar name or something? Why can't I think of it? Whatever. His name will come to me later. I've never heard of these people. But somehow these are executive directors of the Mises Institute, which obviously doesn't necessarily mean that means anything. It's kind of, are these the people making the decision to nix Hoppe? And how did we get to this? Is kind of interesting. It almost seems like kind of perhaps even confirming Hoppe's issue. So let's get into this though. A little bummer. Let's figure out what the fuck's going on here, because I'm not a big fan of this. So let's read this. It's from on hanshoppe.com. Mises Institute, Quo Vadis, which I don't know what Quo Vadis means. But let's go through this together. This is written on March 25th. It says, my close personal association with the Mises Institute goes back more than 40 years to 1985, only 3 years after the Institute's founding. In the course of the years, I have given dozens upon dozens of lectures. I've been awarded Schlarbaum Prize and the Rothbard Medal. For a decade, I served as editor of its Journal of Libertarian Studies. I am the MI's only long-standing distinguished senior fellow. Only 2 years ago, in 2024, I was a featured speaker at the Institute's Human Action Conference, and my 75th birthday was celebrated on the occasion. In the same year, I sent this congratulatory note to Lou Rockwell on the occasion of the festivities organized in honor of his own 80th birthday. Dear Lou, to your 80th birthday, I send you my best wishes and want to say thanks for by now almost 40 years of friendship and intellectual camaraderie. I know you are too humble to say this, but I can certainly do it. You're rank among the most brilliant commentators and analysts of the present age, and you are the world's greatest living promoter of sound economics and tradition of Ludwig von Mises and Murray and Rothbard, and more generally of liberty, peace, common sense, and reason. Your legacy is assured. You are already a legend. Yours truly, Hans. And Lou immediately replied, wow, dear Hans, God bless you for your extraordinary letter, which was the high point of the event and did me great honor. Now all I need to do is try to live up with it. Only 1 year ago in 2025, I was invited to give the Ludwig von Mises Memorial Lecture at the Australian Scholars Conference, and a special dinner was set up in my honor. Everything appeared to be fine and harmonious, except it was heart-wrenching to see the shocking shocking deterioration of Lou's health. He had difficulty speaking and he could no longer type. It was apparent that he could not possibly anymore be in full control of the mighty intellectual enterprise, the MI and LRC that he had built up in some 40 years. I also had some beginning doubts that he was the actual author of everything still written and published under his name. However, in the course of our dinner and cautiously touching the question of the future of his enterprise, he assured me that everything had been taken care of and was in good hands. Just a year ago, Tom DiLorenzo, emeritus professor of economics at Loyola University, Baltimore, longtime friend and senior faculty member of the MI, prolific writer of numerous nationally acclaimed books and accomplished public speaker, had been hired as the MI's new president. As well, longtime associate and personal friend Karen DeCoster, who had spent a lifetime in executive positions in the corporate world, had been installed as chief financial and operating officer. Upon my return to Europe, again, I felt relieved. Yet only a few months later, in the late summer of 2025, I was informed by Professor Guido Hulsmann, Mises biographer and MI senior fellow, that he had just learned that Tom DiLorenzo and Karen DeCoster had been put on administrative leave, and by all appearances were about to be fired, owing to disagreements between them and other staff members regarding the current and future management of the Institute. While neither of us were involved in the daily business of the Institute, nor in any discussions about vision and strategy, whether on the board level or among the Institute employees, and neither of us were on the Institute's payroll, as long-standing close associates of the Institute, we felt that it was our duty to weigh in on the matter at hand and express our concerns. To this effect, we wrote a joint memorandum addressed to Lou and the members of the board. Therein, we first reminded the board that the exact same or somewhat similar problem had already led to the departure of our previous president, Jeff Deist, a mere 3 years ago, which, yeah, I remember Jeff leaving, and it seems like it's kind of, I've heard, all the murmurs I've heard seem to be downhill from there, but I mean, I don't really know enough, so, but anyways, And we then tried to draw the board's attention to what we consider the root cause of the present problem, an inappropriate setup of responsibilities owing to a structural flaw in the organization of the Institute. In any functioning organization, the standard solution to avoid internal conflicts or frictions is that the president prevails and all its subordinate officers comply with his orders. The president, once elected, must have the authority to decide on all matters. He may choose to delegate some of his powers, but in principle, his decision must be final. And the board of the organization has the duty to back the president and relieve him of his duties only in case of manifest malfeasance, fraud, or treachery, but not because of some mere difference or vision or opinion between him and other staff, or on account of someone's dissatisfaction, unhappiness, or complaint. But this has not been the setup of the MI. Instead of a unity of leadership, the MI has institutionalized a duality of leadership that was inevitably bound to result in irresolvable conflict. On the one hand, there was the president, Tom DiLorenzo, and on the other hand, there was the vice president of academic affairs, Joe Salerno. Normally, this would have made DiLorenzo Salerno's superior, but while DiLorenzo, qua president, was to attend board meetings, he was not also a board member. All the while, Salerno had been appointed as a permanent board member, and as such was de facto, materially, the hierarchical superior of any president, whoever that might be. That's actually pretty wild. Salerno, qua permanent board member, was placed in a position that allowed him to defy, challenge, and overcome virtually any sitting president. And this state of affairs did not only impact his own relationship with the president, it could not fail to also undermine the relationship between the president and all other MI employees. Indeed, a president who cannot prevail on his senior executives was bound sooner or later to lose respect of the other employees. Eventually, intrigue, rebellion, and mutiny would become acceptable reactions in response to his orders. We indicated in our memorandum how to repair the structural flaw that we had identified and offered our further advice, but to no avail. There was no reaction whatsoever in response to our memo from any side, no word in particular, also not from Lou Rockwell, the chairman of the board, lending additional support to our growing suspicion that he had lost control of the Institute. The end of the DiLorenzo affair then came rather quickly. As predicted in our memo, it was some internal cabal that led to the dismissal of DiLorenzo and DeCoster as president and CFO. Salerno had prevailed over both the president and the CFO. There was no explanation given for this decision, and DiLorenzo and DeCoster were bound by non-disclosure agreements. The letter was sent out by the donors, signed by Lou, simply stating deceivingly and untruthfully that both had resigned from positions rather than having actually been fired. Revealing, though, Gulshin, my wife, and I had been significant donors too. We did not receive this very letter, presumably because we knew the actual truth, as well as was announced in the letter that a search for a new president was immediately to begin. Incidentally, the previous Dice era had ended somewhat differently, but for essentially similar reasons. Dice had tried to professionalize the MI and especially the board's organization, and thereby encountered Salerno's destructionist opposition backed up by Lou. Thereupon, in deep frustration, along with several prominent former board members, Judge Andrew Napolitano was forced out. He resigned from his position as president. Given the recent experiences of first Dice and DiLorenzo, and given the present institutional setup of the Institute, Hulsman and I had predicted in our memo that the search would not be an easy task. For what person of any significant standing and stature would want to take on such a risky job? Indeed, until today, some 8 months later, no new president has been found. Instead, most likely at Salerno's urging, an increasingly and visibly weakened Lou was persuaded to install two longtime subaltern employees as interim executive and directors, who Salerno then, qua undisputed academic head, could easily manipulate. I was left disillusioned, apparently shut out, but aware of Murray Rothbard's upcoming 100th birthday on March 22nd, 2026, I decided to embark on an independent enterprise. Together with Stefan Kinsella, longtime friend and leading Austro-libertarian legal theorist, we decided to produce a Guidenschrift, which, by the way, I've had Stefan Kinsella on the show, for those who are interested, if you want to go search in my backlog, way back when. That was interesting dive into deep autism. It was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. So to produce a Gedenschrift in Rothbard's honor for the occasion, to be published under the auspices of the Property and Freedom Society, the annual intellectual salon I had founded 20 years before in 2006. Indeed, precisely on March 2nd, the Gedenschrift, edited by Kinsella and myself, was released. Incidentally, on the same day, the Mises Institute, with a staff of some 30 people and backed by a huge multi-million-dollar endowment, accomplished no more than to set out a fundraising letter, allegedly written, in any case auto-signed, by Lou begging for more money in order to help celebrate the year of Rothbard. On March 2nd, our Gedenkschrift, that's a fun word to say, was sent also to Lou Rockwell expecting a word of congratulation as one well could and should. There was no response. The next day, I sent him this follow-up letter. Dear Lou, till recently, whenever I would send you an email, you would almost immediately respond. Nowadays, after the ouster of Di Lorenzo, there's nothing but silence. You either ignore me or someone else screens my email and prevents you from seeing them. Why? What is your beef with me? Yesterday, I sent you the book that Kinsella and I wrote and compiled to celebrate Murray's 100th birthday. There was not even an acknowledgement from you. All the while, the MI did no more at the occasion than ask for donations to celebrate Murray without actually having anything to show for. No celebratory article, nothing. I know that you agree with my assessment of Malay. You told me so. Normally then you would have published my introduction to the book I sent you. But no, nothing this time, because the new MI leadership invited Huerta de Soto, the leading Malay propagandist, to speak in Auburn in a couple of weeks, and they want to suck up to him. What have I done to deserve this treatment? I've been a main attraction for the MI, and Gulchin and I have been significant donors. Why? Best Hans. Again, no response. So I sent another letter. Dear Lou, since I still have not heard back from you, and I still cannot believe that there is ill will at play, after all, when we last met in March of 2025, you repeatedly emphasized how important I had been and still was to the MI. I can only assume that the suspicion indicated in my letter of yesterday is indeed true, and owing to your deteriorating health, control has been wrestled away from you, and other people now read and handle your mail. Shameful. Two people, Kinsella and I, a shoestring operation, if you will, wrote, compiled, and published a book on March 2nd to celebrate Murray's 100th birthday. To this day, the Mises Institute did not even acknowledge this feat. The staff of almost 30 people enrolling in donors' money, all the MI accomplishment at the occasion was a letter begging for more money, and now a couple days later, we published the Fettschrift in honor of Rothbard from 38 years ago. How to explain this conduct? Pettiness, envy, jealousy? In any case, is not how honorable people behave. Hans. Finally, my suspicion that someone else read and screened my emails to Lou was confirmed. Not by the person I believed, and still believed to actually do so, but instead by Lou's wife, Marty, stating, Dear Hans, just a quick note to let you know Lou has been ill for the past few months. I read him your email, and he will answer as soon as he is better. He doesn't read his emails some days. He values your friendship and all you have done for the Institute over the years. Please pray for him. All the best to you and your family. Love, Marty. More than 2 weeks later, there still has been no word forthcoming for Lou. No explanation, no nothing. But interestingly, there have been still fundraising letters sent out supposedly written and signed by Lou, and there have been still articles published on LRC under his name. Obviously, someone here is lying and deceiving, and it was most certainly not Marty. Next, to dig deeper in this apparent pool of corruption, I turned to Ryan McMakin, editor-in-chief of the MI website. Notwithstanding the fact that the MI had announced 2026 as the year of Rothbard, there had been and still to this day has been no mention or acknowledgement of our book by the Institute. Only a tweet over 2 weeks later by Mises Institute scholar Wanjiro Najoya. I offered McMakin my above-linked introduction for publication of the Mises Wire, and this is what happened. First, nothing. Then I followed up with his email. Ryan, several days ago, I submitted the following article to be published at Mises Wire. As you know, I am the only long-standing distinguished senior fellow at the MI, and I am generally recognized as Murray Rothbard's most prominent student intellectual heir. Still, I have not heard anything back from you. And not just I, are curious to know, is it your decision to ignore me and show no willingness to publish my article, or are you under orders not to do so? McMakin came first back with this. Thanks for the follow-up. I see your email, your earlier email went to the spam folder. I'll have a look at your submission today. Strange enough that the email of a distinguished senior fellow should land in the spam folder, but hardly surprising any more than was McMakin's following quick decision. Good afternoon. Thank you for your submission, but we are going to pass on this one. The primary reason is that it so heavily focuses on Rothbard's work as a libertarian movement strategist and movement issues in general, with very little about Rothbard's work as an economist. Mises.org has generally steered clear of movement content, allowing LRC, as with the old RRR, to be more the publication that covers political coalition building or issues within the libertarian movement. We've been working to better draw this distinction between movement/strategy publications and Mises.org. Regards, Ryan McMakin. In response, I only briefly remarked, I am sure that is also the reason why the MI does not even recognize the entire book that we published in honor of Rothbard on March 2nd, while the MI, with a staff of about 30, did not accomplish more than to send out a fundraising letter on that day. I take your response as confirmation that you act under orders. Should be noted that McMakin's reason given for the rejection of my article was a bald-faced lie. Dozens upon dozens of articles published on the MI site were not restricted to discussion of purely economic matters. Practically none of the articles written by David Gordon or Wanjiro Najoya were, for instance, not to speak about the various pieces by some Connor O'Keefe. Oh, that's the name I was looking for earlier. I mixed him up with Connor Friedman. So Connor O'Keefe, I like his stuff. So I'm not saying anything bad here. I know there's a lot of shit talking going on here, but a lot of these people are great. What little I know about them are great, and some of them I've not checked out any of their work. More importantly, the very man, Murray Rothbard, was most emphatically not a narrow-minded economist, but an interdisciplinary scholar interested in and familiar with the widest range of subjects. The excuse given for the rejection then is just silly, most likely fabricated under orders from higher up. Thus, to gain ultimate clarity in the matter, I finally turned to Salerno, the new big boss. I sent him the above correspondence with Macon and asked him directly if his rejection letter had found his approval. This, then, is the correspondence that ensued. Salerno. Dear Hans, as I have indicated to you on previous occasions, when you have emailed me about articles that were published or were submitted and not published on Mises.org, Ryan Macon, the editor-in-chief, has the final authority to accept or reject submissions to the website. I advise him on the soundness of technical economic articles when he requests me to do so, but even in those cases, the final decision to accept, reject, or request revisions is his and his alone. Indeed, I never see submissions to the website in advance of their publication on Mises.org unless Ryan requests my advice. I might add that I have never had a reason to question Ryan's editorial decisions. You should also know that neither Ryan nor I are ultimately responsible for the positions and content expressed by the Mises Institute. That responsibility falls to Judy Thomason and Chad Parrish, so those are the executive directors we mentioned earlier that sent out that letter. They are the executive directors of the Mises Institute, chosen by the board of directors and Lou to lead the organization. They've been working directly with Lou and with his and the board's approval. Judy and Chad have been entrusted with full power and authority to take any actions and make all decisions they deem to be in the best interest of the Mises Institute. Best regards, Joe. Now, here's Hoppe. Dear Joe, thanks for clarifying matters. It is truly reassuring to know that the overall operation oversight of the MI, and in particular the task of honoring and preserving Murray Rothbard's legacy, is placed now safely in the hands of Chad Parrish and Judy Thomason, who are both completely unknown outside the walls of the MI, and whose contributions to the Austro-Libertarian edifice are apparently a total and well-kept secret. Best Hans. Salerno replied, Dear Hans, Judy and Chad thoroughly understand the mission, organization, and operations of the Mises Institute, and it was Lou's idea to suggest them to the board for the positions they occupy. I'm fully confident they will keep the ship on course. In the meantime, we are searching for a president to serve as the face of the Institute. Best regards, Joe. So, okay, I guess I'll take a little moment to break away. I do find that interesting. So that Judy and Chad, these are the guys, I think we mentioned early in the article, the current structure. It sounds like they kind of fulfill the non-face of the Institute role of a president, if that makes sense. But while also having Salerno there as having these roles where he actually kind of supersedes the president. So, and then even there serve as a face of the Institute. That even then it's almost like a concession that like, oh, we just want somebody to be the face. But like, so good luck finding anyone of note that's like, you just want me to literally be the face and I don't actually have the ability to lead this institute. You guys can completely undermine me. I think that's fair. And so we're in this weird situation where we have Judy and Chad, these unknowns in this position, and with this like shadow president being Joe Salerno. So clearly, let's be real, Joe is running it even more than he probably was before. Now, I don't have any beef with Joe. I don't know hardly shit about Joe either. I've known of him for a long time. I know he's been in these circles. I don't think I've ever read a thing of his. I don't even know if I've ever even seen anything come across my screen of it. I don't know, like, does he, I'm assuming he writes pieces, stuff, and it's not mean to be condescending. He's done definitely way more than me. I'm just saying but this guy's, anyways, whatever. I just never read any of his shit, so I'm not super familiar with his stances, whatever, but okay. Anyways, moving on. I'm trying not to talk shit about intellectuals, but like so far as like prominent libertarians, I would not include Joe Salerno in a list if I was making one, if that makes sense. He is one that, like, if you're very in the weeds of libertarianism, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah. Like, but not, like, that's about it. So, not trying to be a dick, but just to put it in perspective, it seems, this whole situation is just weird. Anyways, going on. Indeed, now I can see everything quite clearly, an astonishing picture of obfuscation, deception, and lies. For one, given my standing in the MI as a distinguished senior fellow, is very unlikely while not inconceivable that McMakin would not have asked Salerno for his advice in the matter. But in any case, it is remarkable how Salerno obfuscates his answer to my direct question. He could have said, but didn't, for instance, that if he had been consulted, he would have decided differently. However, he claimed instead that he had nothing whatsoever to do with the entire matter, only to add that he had never had any reason to question McMakin's editorial decisions, which obviously implies that he also had no problem with McMakin's rejection of my article, and in fact approved his decision. Why? My guess, Salerno feared that with the publication of my article and any publicity given to the Rothbard Gedenkschrift produced by two outsiders, he and his institute would have been publicly upstaged. I will say, at least from my vibes here, it does feel like Hoppe's not being very, how do I say this? Generous, I guess, with his interpretations. Although I will say his interpretations are probably mostly correct, but there's always like some of these ones who are like, well, obviously this means this. And you're like, well, maybe. Like, probably. Very likely. So that's the only thing I would say is pushback so far. A lot of this is like, well, maybe there's, because he is kind of like trying to read like who's doing this, who's doing that. But I do think he's probably pretty dang on the money. But that's my vibe. Even more revealing and deceiving is what comes to light in his responses concerning the internal structure and operation of the Institute. Salerno, qua academic director, admitted that he essentially lets his editor-in-chief do whatever he wants. Yeah, isn't this a dereliction of duty? Isn't an academic director's duty to regularly look at what his subordinate editor is doing? Of course. However, if you don't ever look at what someone is doing, it's only logical that you can also never discover any fault of his, as Salerno claims to be the case with McMakin. It is far from me to deny that many excellent articles have been published under McMakin's direction at MI, but I've also encountered quite a few pieces that I would have classified as subpar, dilettantish, faulty, or plain wrong. The likely cause of this apparent deficiency: all three MI presidents, Doug French, Jeff Deist, and Tom DiLorenzo, all of whom contributed to the Rothbard Gedenkschrift, have unanimously described Salerno as lazy and unproductive, an attitude that naturally affects and spreads also among the entire Institute staff. Which brings up the most shameful lie regarding the appointment of the two mentioned executive directors, entrusted with full power and authority to take any actions and make all decisions they deem to be in the best interest of the Mises Institute, and working directly with Lou and with his and the board's approval. There may have been legal requirements to appoint some executive director after DiLorenzo's ouster, but anyone who knows anything about the MI also knows that this had no effect whatsoever on the actual power structure of the Institute. Qua executive directors Chad Parrish and Judy Thomason may have received a pay raise. Chad was able to fire the controller previously hired by DeCoster, and Judy was apparently unable to add her husband onto the Institute's payroll. As a matter of fact, however, neither Parrish nor Thomason can make any significant decision regarding the Institute without Salerno's approval. To put it most bluntly, they could never ever fire Salerno. For instance, while Salerno could get rid of them almost instantly if he so wanted. Regardless of their new titles, both executive directors are and remain Salerno's subordinates and take their orders from him just as before. Which just makes this even more like, remember I just read that letter to you where these guys are like, oh, we gotta. So let's be real. You could just swap out their names for Salerno. Let's be real. This is Salerno. It seems like kicking out Hoppe under the auspices of like, oh, these executive directors are kicking you out. Okay. And as for the director's alleged close cooperation with and supervision by the board, it only needs to be recalled that the chairman of the board, Lou Rockwell, as confirmed by Marty, his wife, is and has been for quite a while, essentially out of commission. Severely weakened by his deteriorating health, it has been an easy task to sweet-talk him into making the right decision, and given his condition, it is completely out of the question that he could exercise any active supervision in any of the Institute's ongoings. As for the rest of the board, it should be noted that the real board consists of an inner board of 5 permanent or subscriber members. These are the board members exercising true control of the organization. Next to Lou, the inner board includes, most problematically, Joe Salerno, a paid employee, Peter Klein, professor at Baylor University, but also in the MI payroll as so-called senior academic advisor and Salerno's sidekick. And there is Lou's sister and his sister-in-law, whose son and daughter-in-law are Institute employees. The other board members appear to have no real power and are mostly window dressing, since the inner board members can exercise an ultimate veto in that they can remove any other non-subscriber board member, as we saw with Judge Napolitano. The outside board members include Ron Paul, age 90, John Denson, age 90, Don Prince, age 85, and 3 low-profile donor businessmen, Steve Torello, Mark Murrah, and Yusuf Al-Moyad. It is a joke to claim that the inner board could or would exercise any serious control of the inner workings of the Institute's new executive directors, given that over half of that group are paid employees of the organization or have close ties to such employees. Even if there is no self-dealing, the very structure invites that temptation while appearing suspicious to any outside observer. That this structure is obfuscated by a surrounding layer of outer board members is telling. In any case, however, it was not the two newly appointed executive directors who took the MI off course. They did not invite Jesus Huerta de Soto to present the recent 2026 Mises Memorial Lecture. It was Salerno himself who did so and thereby betrayed the legacy of Murray Rothbard and Lew Rockwell, who was actually no longer able to even attend the very lecture. To be sure, JHS made some outstanding contributions to monetary theory. He was a highly respected member of the Austrian School of Economics. His interest in anarcho-capitalism, the central topic of his lecture, was more recent, and there was not much, if anything, new or original to be heard in this regard. In any case, however, his invitation would have been highly deserved. But during the last few years, beginning sometime around 2023, JHS had become the enthusiastic member of what may be called a Mutual Admiration Society, essentially made up, besides himself, the Argentinian president Javier Milei and Philip Vegas, JHS's German sidekick. They showered each other with invitations, prizes, awards, and money, whether in Spain, Germany, or Argentina, and thereby greatly enhanced their own prominence. Yet here's the rub. While JHS and Bagas hailed Milei as the great new shining star on the libertarian scene and a long-awaited messiah of anarcho-capitalism, Milei, who claimed Rothbard as his main source of inspiration, actually turned out to be a highly dubious character, a fake libertarian, crook, and warmonger. For proof of this, I only refer back to my above-mentioned introduction to Kinsella's and my Gedenkschrift in honor of Murray Rothbard. See further on this subject also this and this. I got some hyperlinks in here. In particular, on Rothbard's view regarding the peace and war question as a key issue to all libertarianism. Notwithstanding all this damning evidence, however, JHS, during the last 5 minutes or so of his speech, as was to be expected, could not abstain from reciting again his now standard praises of Milei. Revealingly, his praises only included Milei's rhetorical performances, his high-sounding libertarian copy-and-paste speeches delivered in typical Latino style, however. Yet there was not a single word to be heard about from JHS about all of Milei's broken promises, his multitude of anti-libertarian measures, his loud and proud profession as the world's greatest Zionist president, as the enthusiastic supporter of his great friend Netanyahu's monstrous genocidal war in Gaza, and obviously deranged Donald Trump, and the Usreal, that's a rough one. He's trying to be tricky here. Did USRAL, he merged US and Israel, trying to be crafty, but it doesn't really roll off the tongue. Usreal? It doesn't work. If you see this, Hans, doesn't work. And I normally like your flair. Doesn't work here. The U.S.-Israel war of aggression against Iran. Murray Rothbard would have strictly opposed an invitation to JHS on this ground and for this reason, and so would have the former, still vigorous and healthy Lew Rockwell. Likewise, and for the very same reason, Tom DiLorenzo would not have invited him. That Joe Salerno, who very well knew what Murray thought about the neocons, about Zionism in Israel, and who also knew quite well about the actual Milei and about JHS's close association with him, did so nonetheless, came as a shock and represents no less than an open betrayal of Rothbard's and Rockwell's legacy. Why, I have no clear answer and must speculate. Was Salerno himself a secret Mileiist, although he had always strictly denied this in earlier conversations that we had on the topic, or did he intend to use JHS to gain direct access to Milei and replicate what the German Mises Institute had done already before, to sell out, forget about fundamental principles, and invite Milei to Auburn to receive some prize so as to gain more popularity and attract some previously inaccessible donor class? Is the MI to become the next example of what its former president Doug French has described in a recent book published under the auspices of the Property and Freedom Society, a movement turned into a racket? In any case, there are ominous signs on the horizon. Finally, why am I writing all this? I am not under the illusion that any of this will have any noticeable effect on the MI and its operations. The MI sits on an endowment of more than $70 million. Nonprofits almost never implode, and with this endowment, the Institute can limp along for decades, almost regardless of what it does or doesn't do. There's always a clueless generation of older donors leaving some big estate gifts behind. There's always another generation of new donors coming along, attracted by a good show and some freebies. My sole purpose in writing this, then, is to let the truth be known and to thus honor and protect the intellectual legacy of my dear friend and mentor, Murray and Rothbard. Hans Hermann Hoppe. A little bit lengthy, but I did want to cover this so we can get into the weeds. I gotta be real. After all this, I'm still Team Hoppe. Nothing. If anything, I'm more resolutely Team Hoppe. I do stand by that. I do think he wasn't very generous in a lot of ways, in a lot of his interpretations of like this person that or this person this. But like, I generally think he's probably correct. And also, even then, even if he isn't being generous, so fucking what? Like, okay, then fucking write a response article or ignore it. Like, if anything, this just confirms everything he fucking said. To me, I mean, I know he literally got removed by the people that this whole article was like, look at these people. They're a sham of leadership being puppeted by Joe Salerno. And it just proves it out. So this is a real bummer. A real bummer. All right, guys. Well, that's that. I guess let's roll the chat, say some goodbyes. Man, I lost a lot of people with that. You guys did not want the in the weeds libertarian stuff, but hey, some people will, and you got it here. But let's roll the chat, say some goodbyes / good mornings. Hey, say what now? So that's a joke. No, it is not an April Fool's joke. So this is Cooper says I'm close. Don't stop whispering to Bob. Yeah. Cubert says Laney edits were the best goon material. Laney edits were the best. Is Martin Mack? Yeah, they are super. Person said, and then we got Super Hybrid Brain. Says research what this channel proves. You streamer knows what says nothing is in Club Agenda 2030 NWO. So true, King. So true, King. Thanks for the engagement. Good morning to you. Good morning, JC. Good to see you finally join us. All right, guys. All right, well, let's get out of here. Fucking goddamn computer feds, man. They're getting me. But all right, guys. I guess we'll get out of here. I have a fun outro for you guys. I think you'll like. JC said real quick. He said that for the Mises Institute to stay that base for that long is an accomplishment in itself. To be honest, it was probably inevitable. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it sounds like somehow the state got their dirty dick beaters in there, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm torn. I don't know what to make of it. I'm still kind of pulled back and forth between my thoughts on this. It's not cool at the very least. But with that, guys, those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major auto podcatchers, and Twitter as well. That's at Tower Gang Jose on Twitter. Everywhere else, just look up the No Way Jose podcast. If you want to support the show the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. At the low level of $2, you get a whole host of perks to give you guys access to early episodes. I give you, I do 1 to 2 of those per week. I actually have Jacob come back on tonight. We're doing another West Memphis 3 episode. And then I usually keep about 3 or 4 behind the paywall any given time. I also give you guys an ad-free RSS feed, give you guys access to Telegram, give you access to pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also, give a big shout-out to my sponsors, which is the highest level of my Patreon. At the end of every episode is a big thank you for their support. I have my previous coach in Tower Gang, at Leonard Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZWK, at _Zeal, Tim Tell, at Jolin Klebold, big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Tackles, Warner Cover Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, Jacob Murdergad, Biblical Anarchy Podcast. And with that, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this outro. One second, I should have had that set up already. It's a fun one. I thought this was pretty cool. And like I said, we have Matt Wolfson joining us tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Always like hanging out with Matt. And you guys I seem to get a good feedback when we have Matt on too. A little inside baseball here too. Me and him have been kicking around the idea of we had a little bit of talk. We're talking about maybe some sort of weekly or semi-regular thing. What do you guys think? Like weekly Wolfsons, the weekly Wolfson. We were thinking. I like alliterations. I was thinking the Wednesday Wolfson, but now I like the weekly Wolfson. Maybe do like a Wednesday night thing, something like that. I don't know. Just tell me what you guys think. Good to see you joining us at the very end, Jared or Mustache. Love you, brother. We'll see you on the next one or whenever you show up. I guess you'll listen to it later. But that, guys, enjoy this outro. This very much ties into, especially pretty much all of today. Well, really just the first topic, more or less the foreign influence networks. I was very much thinking of that when I was watching this. So we'll see you on the next one. I should be back tomorrow. We'll probably try to go a little bit earlier on the normal time, around 11, like we're supposed to. It's a lot easier when I have a guest. I don't have to do as much prep. So should see you around 11-ish tomorrow morning. So look forward to see you all guys all there. Help a brother out, because the computer fed really fucked me big time today, guys. So help a brother out. We'll see you on the next one.
I don't know.
I don't know how Jeffrey Epstein died. I'm not going to sit here and tell you. I wasn't there. All I can tell you is it's awfully suspicious how that happened. Oh, look, the camera's broke. Folks, the Epstein client list is a huge deal. It is that there is a connected class of insiders that feel that they can get away with anything because they can. There is a reason this client list is hidden.
He killed himself. You want me to get... I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to?
Himself. There is no credible information. None.
Because Donald Trump, the Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing.
To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination.
It's a good thing to have a lot of losers. I always like to hang around with losers, actually, because it makes me feel better.
I don't know.